All good.
That's why we've got Vodafone TV. But it's still Sky. No, he actually, it's been confirmed he's on. I was actually happy. Well, he's already lost two. He's already lost two appeals.
Did you know that
My first triathlon
has to
help me.
photos of the outgoing piece of it in the white
Go this way.
truck refused to put up the banners.
I can't believe Trump wrote the statement. It's like, and some of the silly stuff he said. It's like, oh, there's stealth aircraft, you can't see them. Or what if it's right next to you and you're flying in the sky? Then you can't see it because it's stealth. Okay, so it's
Oh,
right
that's
there.
actually turned out nice.
And you're like, how can you believe this stuff? And he's like, oh, this injects this effect and that might kill the virus.
I know. I take the best selfies.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's perfect. No trouble at all.
All good.
From the arriving just too late department.
No mai, haere mai, and welcome to beautiful Pilot Bay in Mount Maunganui for the Tinman Triathlon, Suzuki North Island Standard Distance Triathlon Champs. Some wonderful shots looking across Pilot Bay and out towards the city of Tauranga and further down Mount Maunganui here on Sky Sport Next. My name's Cameron Harper and alongside me is Mark Bone. Mark, good morning.
Morning, Cameron. It's fantastic, isn't it, once again to have events here in New Zealand. And, you know, we are so blessed and it is great to be here once again.
You're exactly right. It has been a wee while since we've had some events rolling here. We've done a lot with the virtual world through Triathlon New Zealand as well, and we'll talk about that a bit later on. But to finally have some racing underway is a beautiful thing. So we'll be kicking off in about 4 minutes' time. Will be our men's race underway first. You'll see we've got yellow caps and green caps out there. So yellow caps for under 45 years. And green caps for all the old fellas over 45.
Yeah, so the yellow caps are the young guns and the ones that are aspiring. There's a number of athletes here that are actually heading to Tokyo Olympics next year, so it's going to be exciting for them. They're certainly very keen to get back onto the start line. There's been a lot of time where it's just been training, and you know that can play with your head as well. But this is now where all of the action is going to start. All the pre-race nerves are pretty much going to be going once these athletes get into the water, as we've seen them there towards the start line, and it's a big group.
Yes, it is. So we'll have that men's race underway at 7:30. So there'll be a first wave of the under 45s, Then the second wave, a few nervous waves as we have coming out here. Second wave for the men, 7:31. And our women's race, which is going to be an outstanding race, Mark, getting underway in a mass start for the women at 7:35.
Oh, I'm just excited to see athletes out there racing once again and putting all of their training to fruition. And that's what it's going to be all about. It's testing conditions here today. You know, we had a lot of rain overnight. That will bring a little bit of glass up onto the course when we go out onto the bike. There's been a bit of wind that's come on. Very low tide as we see Pilot Bay here, and you can see that in the shots that we've got here. So it's an interesting situation, Pilot Bay, with the way that the tides actually move around. And this will be very, very prevalent once these athletes start.
And it's dead low pretty much right now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely full-on low tide for this 7:30 start, and we're only a couple of minutes away from that start moment. You can see some of the, I think probably the better athletes have moved towards the deeper part of the course on the far side as we're looking at the picture to the right there. There will be a couple of duck dives that will occur when they first start off, and then they will be into it.
I see a guy out there going bareback. He's got no wetsuit on. It's it's all right. It's November. It's beautiful. It's always sunny and warm at Pilot Bay, isn't it? But
quick transition.
It'll be a very quick transition, won't it? And now, so just as a quick look at this course as we talk about that. So it's 1,500 metre swim. That's just one lap here in Pilot Bay. 40 kilometre bike, which is 3 laps, and then a 10k 1 lap run, which takes on the Mount Base track as well through to here to the finish line at Pilot Bay. So 1 lap, it's always an interesting swim in Pilot Bay, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, incredibly interesting swim because you'll see, once we get underway, you'll see massive changes in tidal influences that occur in Pilot Bay, just the nature of Pilot Bay itself. And we'll see that as this race unfolds and pans out. Athletes actually have to make a big decision when they're coming back in the last part of that 1,500, 750 metres back to the finish line out of the water, whether or not they stay in close to shore or they go out a little bit. And the tidal influence of that will make and dictate that within these athletes.
And it's quite interesting. We'll see that as we go a bit wider through these drone shots as we look at as this race is underway. So that is the start of our under 45 men are now underway. Some other guy didn't get the memo there, but that's okay. He's going off for a wait, isn't he? But straight into their work. And it's interesting. It's quite a mass sort of break-up already as these guys get underway.
Well, there's some very, very talented swimmers out there in this course. And, you know, always on the start line, it's a moment of, I guess, anxiety, a little bit of nerves. How do you get your stroke rate up straight away? Don't get into trouble. Make sure that you get clean swimming so that you're not actually getting athletes around you that are imposing upon you, putting their arms over your hips, your shoulders, knocking your goggles off. You actually want to get into some clean space. If you're a slower athlete, you will actually take your time and you will find clean space easily. But for the elites, as we just get a very good shot here of the woman making their way, if you're an elite male, you want to make sure that you just clean yourself out straight away.
So here we have the men over 45 have just started in the green caps. It is our women's race, one mass start for the women getting underway at 7:35. But you can see the being dead low, but as you're saying, with the wind, the swirling nature of the water here, it is actually pulling these guys around a wee bit.
Yeah, definitely. And you'll notice all the time these athletes will be lifting their heads, getting a little bit of sighting as they go through this as well. Of course, the wetsuits give you quite a big advantage. You know, something like 10% advantage if you can wear a wetsuit of what you will do. It's just that extra buoyancy. You don't have to use your legs as much. And, of course, that's so important when you get onto the bike and then onto the run. So it just is a matter of conserving that energy. Around the world, you know, wetsuits are dictated to by the temperature of the water. And in this situation, almost everybody has taken advantage of the wetsuit and what that will generate in terms of warmth and also buoyancy.
It's interesting as we see some of our back markers in that men's under 45 in these yellow caps, and some of these green capped over 45 fellas will catch them pretty quickly. But one of the beautiful things about this race here at Tinman, here at Pilot Bay, is you have a massive amount of people in this race, right from the guys at the and women who are the elites through to people that's probably their first triathlon for a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that'll be doing their first ever triathlon, and of course, as we all know, we've been in this COVID world and not been able to be able to participate in events, and so a lot of people have been doing some training and actually said, "Hey, I'm going to give this a shot." These are huge numbers for this Suzuki Tinman event, and it's fantastic to get the numbers out there so early in the season.
Wonderful from Triathlon New Zealand, the work they've done to get this underway, and very proud to be bringing this to you on Sky Sport Next. And also, just we should say, as well as we wait for the women to get underway, that we are also going to be having live coverage from 10:30 this morning of the sprint race, and we'll get onto that later, but also outstanding fields in there as well as people aim towards Tokyo. But in this men's race, Mark, we'll start picking up people as they sort of head through the turn and come back towards the beach. But there's some people in here, the likes of Taylor Reid, Hayden Wilde, Kyle Smith, Mark Bosted swims very well, Dylan McCulloch, there's a few others in there, and these are outstanding names in New Zealand triathlon that are here this morning and lining up.
Yeah, look, we don't know what sort of training and where they're at with their training. I know that from the base in Cambridge, they've been doing a lot of work.
Is that your boat, that one, that Paru one?
Probably that's about as much as I can afford. In fact, I don't even think I could afford a boat that could be in the water. But there's some wonderful aerial shots here from our drone of the lead swimmers here. Just notice the competitive swimming stroke is so different to an open water stroke, and I can't emphasise that more, particularly when you're working with a wetsuit as well. A wetsuit doesn't allow you the same high shoulder, high elbow position. It's a lot more of a swinging arm action, a lot longer arm action. And of course, when you're talking about open water swimming as well, you need to be able to adjust your stroke depending upon the chop of the water.
And this women's race, and again, we're talking about some of the people that are racing in that men's race. A very good field here, having a very good look at Hannah Wells as she gets underway. Nicole Vanderkay is in there, Rebecca Clark. There's some very good swimmers in here as well, isn't there?
Oh, Rebecca Clark, I would expect her to be probably first out of the water. She is an outstanding swimmer, great on the bike. It's whether or not, and what she's going to be able to do on the run, whether she's going to have her running legs with her today. But talking to her, she's in good shape. She's really enthusiastic and keen. I'm expecting to see probably her first out of the water. But a great shot there of these females as they start the race only about a minute into it at this stage.
And it's interesting as well, Mark, because and the way in which people don't often realise how much of a drafting effect you can get from swimming. Sitting on someone's feet is better than trying to get out and get in front of them at times, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that is Rebecca Clark in second position there, and she's sitting right on the feet of the athlete in front of her, and that's actually not a bad move, because when you first start off in a triathlon, your heart rate goes through the roof. It just pumps big time. And you've got to be able to bring that back down and then consolidate and get back into steady state mode. So it's not a bad move by Rebecca Clark. When you are right on the feet of the athlete in front of you, you are drafting, as we see in motor racing, we see in biking. It's a matter of getting a benefit from that drafting.
And look at that for a shot. Beautiful maunga of Mount Maunganui sitting in the background there as the athletes. And this is it. We talk about the swim course here. There's actually quite a difficult swim course to navigate, because at times you can't really see, because quite often the yachts, depending on where the water's flowing, and it doesn't all flow the same way here in Pilot Bay, especially when the tide's out, and the boats can be sort of moving around quite a bit to try and sight yourself to get around the boat and figure out where the next sighting buoy is.
Well, you actually have to use the boats a little bit as well and navigate around the boats, so it's not easy. This is one of the hardest swim courses because of their boats that are constantly out there. But not just that, it's the turbulence and it's the tidal movement that we see in this water.
Because these guys have gone very, very wide as they come back round to try and hit that next marker, because the first one was out by everyone was saying, go for the yellow catamaran, and that was where that first marker is. But then, as you say, trying to find a course as the water pushes you around, and they're really coming in quite a sweeping arc to that next buoy.
Yeah, so what will be happening here, Cameron, is that we're right on low tide, so obviously the water is going out. It's going to be also pushing them out around the base of the mountain. So from the shoreline, it's going to be, as we're looking at these shots, to the left-hand side. The weaker swimmers will go more left than what the stronger swimmers will. They'll take a more one direction all the way through. as we're heading towards the last of the big boys, and then it's just about 750 metres back to the finish line before they get out of the water.
And it's just a drag race from here, isn't it? Are they going to be better off trying to stay wider out into the ocean a wee bit more, or they want to come closer in at this point?
I think that they should want to stay out wider. I think that you will get, in this situation with Pilot Bay, I think if they stay out wider, they will actually get a better line. Now, you'll see a number of athletes try different options here, but generally, have a look at the front ones. They've all stayed a little bit wider.
Yep.
They're all following each other. They're not letting any one of the athletes dictate the terms here.
So again, outstanding shots here on Sky Sport Next as we are here at the Tinman Triathlon. Long established, wonderful race. Really is a start of the series of triathlon in New Zealand for the summer, isn't it, Mark? And this is part of the Suzuki North Island, the standard distance. It is the triathlon champs for the North Island standard distance, and we have an outstanding field underway. Really broken in. There's quite a large, or largish. I mean, it's stringing out a bit. There's still a few guys. What is it, about half a dozen people in that front pack, but they are starting to string out a wee bit.
Yeah, definitely stringing out. I mean, the good thing is a good lead group of about 7, 8 maybe in there. And, you know, what Triathlon New Zealand has done now is changed this whole thing into a national series. And I think that's really exciting. Exciting for the sport and exciting for the athletes as well. And breaking it into the North Island and the South Island. But this is really wonderful shots here. You have once again, I just can't stress the amount of movement that there will be out in Pilot Bay right now. This is not easy conditions. And normally when you look at Pilot Bay, it is absolutely pristine and flat. It's quite lumpy and quite choppy for Pilot Bay.
Well, there is a bit of a wind. I think it's probably around a northwesterly that's rolling in at the moment. It's not a huge wind. It's not anything to be too stressed about, but it will be a bit on the nose, especially on the bike as they come back towards the mount from the turnaround. We'll get onto that a bit later, but that's going to be an interesting factor in here. But yeah, this is very much strung out. All those first starters in the under 45s and the green, and the men of the over 45s. And you will see as we go on, quite a few pink caps will come up into that as the women overtake some of the men.
Yeah, there's some, as we keep saying, there's some very, very good swimmers in the female event, and they certainly will be negotiating their way through the men. Particularly, you know, when we look at the older men, 45 and overs, they only had 4-minute advantage over the females, and some of those females will breach that 4-minute line very, very quickly.
And just to be aware, there are some of the men, when we say over 45, I think we've got a couple of competitors in the 80-plus category today. A couple of the legends that are out there racing as well.
Well, there's some legends in the over 45, full stop, whether they're in the 80 and over, but there's some real legends out there. People that have been in the sport for so long, people that are actually actively coaching in the sport as well and giving so much back. I mean, Walter Thorburn is one person that springs to mind straight away in that category. So
we look here, as Mark was saying earlier, that that drag race back, and in this sort of situation, Mark, it's 1,500 metre swim. I mean, you know, especially for these elite athletes in the men's and women's fields, when you get to that last turn, you can put your head up, you can see where you're aiming for. At times, guys are looking to put their hammer down, and try, you know, the guys who are stronger on the swim, to try and put them distance between them and the other athletes. So it turns into a drag race in this last part. Yeah, what's interesting here, Cameron, if you have a look at this aerial shot, the lead athletes, are they going to go closer inshore, or will they actually move to the far boat that we see in the distance, or will they stay to the right-hand side of that boat and probably take advantage of the, I guess, the advantage of the swell that will be occurring out where they are? And I would suggest they'll probably go to the right-hand side of the boat. It's just gone out of our shot right now. But again, a tremendous aerial shot here. Yeah, it is interesting. And I mean, you also, you know, we're talking about that drafting effect before. And it's interesting in that you need to try and figure out, what are you going to do? Do you stick with the guy who's at the front and draft off that and kind of go where he or she is going, or do you sort of cut your own path? Well, have a look at this right at the moment. We've got 3 athletes that are pretty much out in front. They've actually breached away from the group of about 5 or 6 behind them, and that's significant. So the hammer's starting to come down a little bit. Options of drafting, 2 options. You either draft directly on the feet of the athlete in front of you, or you draft on their hip.
line. You want to get those advantages. That's where the whole option of getting the benefit of drafting occurs, on the hip or on the feet. Now, if you're on the feet of the athlete in front of you, if you tap their feet a little bit, it just plays with their head, lets them know that you're still there. It annoys them. And so ultimately, mentally, that can play havoc as well. If you're on the hip of the athlete beside you and you're getting a drafting benefit, the athlete that's slightly out in front just gets a bit frustrated also, because he knows that he's doing the work, or she, and this, it could be either case, they're doing the work and you're just sitting in there tucking in, and you'll get that mind game that will be occurring.
So as you look at these shots as the team are heading back towards transition to get through this 1,500 metre swim, you can see the way we've been talking about the water swirling a wee bit and how that's working. Oh, that's it. So Mark's just mentioned to me, his son, Nick, is doing his, second triathlon today after the Weet-Bix that he did years ago. And is that him sitting in second place, is it?
Well, look, he's out there. He's wanting to do a triathlon. As you said, he hasn't done it since the Weet-Bix, which seems to be 100 years ago, and he's giving this a shot. Well, we talked about
Nick's an outstanding swimmer.
Well,
really
he's an open water swimmer. He's as rough and ready. I'm a bit embarrassed by his stroke, but he is certainly a very, very good open water swimmer.
But the thing is, though, when it comes to swimming, though, I mean, you can get so many more efficiencies. But are people like you see with Nick here, and there are many other swimmers, especially in triathlon, that seem to be able to get away with an uglier stroke, and they make up for it in other ways.
Yeah, look, great swimmers in competitive swimming are beautiful, and they're graceful, and they look amazing, and they look as if they're so efficient and doing very little work when they're out there. But when you come into open water, as I said earlier, you've got to have the ability to change your stroke as well. You've got to have the ability to shorten it if it's incredibly choppy, lengthen it if it's a bit flatter. And also, you've got to have the ability always to breathe on either side, because you never know where the waves are coming from. So in this situation, if the waves were coming from your left, you don't want to be breathing into them. You've got to be comfortable of breathing to the right away from the waves, and vice versa. So, there's a lot of things that will go on.
So you see that the guys have sort of split the gap between these two boats, because they've got one last red buoy they need to go to the right of, and they turn left at that buoy and head straight back into the beach. So they have stuck quite wide, as you suggested, Mark, and they're not too far away from that last buoy and getting around. And because the tide's out, there could be quite a bit of duck diving and waiting to get back in.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if you have a look at the point of the boat here, it has changed from the start of the race, and that's just the nature of Pilot Bay. It changes so quickly.
So it won't be too long before we get to the end of this 1,500 metre swim, and the guys will be into their 40k bike ride fairly quickly from there. And the interesting thing as well as we look at this is to try and pick out some of who these athletes are. I mean, I'd be picking someone like, I could be completely wrong, but I'm picking someone like Taylor Reid should be right up the front there. I mean, Taylor's an outstanding swimmer, aiming for the Tokyo Olympics in 2021. Hayden Wilde, is not quite there with the swimming with some of these other guys, but Hayden, as we know, he is a very, very good cyclist and runner. It's not like he's a bad swimmer, just not quite as good as some of these other guys.
Taylor's an outstanding swimmer. He comes from Gisborne. They do a lot of surf lifesaving up there. He's well coached up in Gisborne, and has come from a swimming background initially.
So just coming back towards this last marker buoy, that large red buoy right in the middle of shot, and they'll turn left there, and you'll see the technical officials in yellow. That's where they're aiming for, and that brings them straight up onto the pier to get into transition.
Well, you see how shallow this is, because they were just straight into duck diving straight away. Look how shallow that is, incredibly shallow once they get around. This is Taylor Reid.
Yes, so they're a very, very good swim from the young man. And quite a gap they created in the end there, Mark, from first and second through to the rest of the field.
Yeah, a big gap, and it'd probably be 30 metres.
Hayden Wilde just coming through there. So Dylan McCulloch is out there in the front, along with just behind Taylor Reid. So Taylor Reid, Dylan McCulloch in there as well. So that's very, very good from these guys as well. And Hayden Wilde is there. So very, very good swimming so far from these guys. And then quite a large group, including Saxon Morgan, David Martin is there, Luke Scott in the elite open men.
And what will be so important now is the transition. So long since these athletes have actually practiced this transition area. This is really the fourth discipline, isn't it?
So transition does not take long, to say the least, when it comes to these men and women. As Taylor Reid just comes past us in the central commentary position, and he's out onto the bike and he's away on there as well. And so a very, very good transition from him. Dylan McCulloch right behind him through transition. So the two of them will be pretty happy with that, how that's gone for them. But you've got Saxon Morgan and then Hayden Wilde, third and fourth. And look, these guys are all very, very close together.
That's a very good swim from Hayden Wilde.
Yeah, he should be very, very happy with how that's panned out.
Look at the transition here, just how quickly, Cameron, as we have a look at some of these athletes as they're mounting their bikes, doing it so well, so efficient.
So good to see Taylor Reid, and Taylor, you know, is a guy who just races hard from start to finish every single time, doesn't he? He certainly doesn't die wondering how well he's going to go in a race.
Oh, he's a tough competitor, a really tough competitor, and likes to race.
Yes, he does, as a lot of these guys do. So Hayden Squance is in transition to see Mark Boasted. Now this is very, very interesting in that one of the guys who I thought would be more of a contender in this swim, Kyle Smith, is only just coming through transition now. I thought Kyle would have been a lot further up at this point, but not the case.
Yeah, you just never know what sort of training they're all at and how they're peaking. Because a lot of the high-performance athletes, they've got a big race coming up in 4 days' time where they're going to do a dress rehearsal.
Yeah, they do. There's Taylor Reid just going Mount Maunganui on his left there, so you can just see going past the Mount Campground and the hot pools there. No doubt some of the athletes will be going for a soak in there after the race. Then he'll turn right and head out to the main ocean road. And they've got a 3-lap race in there as well, 3 laps for the bike. So everything's panning out nicely for them as they go through. And Hayden, there we go. There's a young fella now. We got that slightly wrong.
Yeah, it's interesting. In 4 days' time, the high-performance athletes are going to be simulating the Olympic Games, which will be in Tokyo of next year, where these elite athletes are going to be put through a mixed relay event. So, you know, great initiative by Tri-NZ and the high-performance program to make them back it up straight out of this event 4 days later.
Oh, very much so. You know, and as Tokyo 2021 as it now is in this new world we find ourselves in. There's a lot of men and women here today using this as a hit out to set themselves up to sort of slide into next year to go from there. So Dylan McCulloch deciding to he doesn't want to be in second at the moment, so he'd rather have a go at first, so overtakes Taylor Reid. So this is a non-drafting race, okay? Non-drafting, which means that you need to have a 10-metre distance between the athletes.
Dylan McCulloch is quite I don't want to use the word, well, I'm going to use the word enigma in so many ways. You know, on his day, he is outstanding, absolutely outstanding. He's just a little bit erratic, and maybe this is one of those days where he's going to be outstanding because he's certainly going for it.
Look, I hope so. And look, I agree with you, is that he's got all the potential in the world and at times realises that potential outstandingly, and I hope that is one of these days, because if he does realise it, well, I would suggest that everyone will just be seeing his backside for the rest of the day because he is that good.
Absolutely.
Looking like a real TT racer there. So few stackers on the tri-bars, but that's okay. As long as it works for him. And they've got a tailwind as they head out. So very much a tailwind. They'll be absolutely flying along there, Mark.
Yeah, they'll be hitting some big speeds, definitely. Quite a bit of head movement that we're seeing here.
But I guess that comes down to as well, you know, the guys that do you know, whether it be the half Ironman or Ironman racing, very much set themselves up for those TTs, whereas the guys that don't are probably not used to these sort of positions in a racing situation.
And it's the old adage too, Cameron, you've got to race to be able to race.
Yeah, very much so. Now we'll just try and pick up where we can, obviously with our elite women starting, our mass start for women starting at 7:35. We'll have to try and pick them out as we can as they get out. Here we are, Mark. Assuming one of our first women to come out of the water. Tell you what, there's a few, and we'll try and pick them out as they come past us as well. But I've got to say, that's an outstanding swim from some of these young ladies. That's Nicole van der Kay that we saw on there before. So I think Nicole and then Rebecca Clark behind her. So there's Nicole van der Kay just taking her swim cap off. So she's had a very, very good swim. And there's Rebecca Clark just in the pink and black just behind her.
And Walter Thorburn just in front of...
the legend, yeah.
Yeah, the legend indeed.
So it's Rebecca Clark just going past as well. So it looks to me like the two of them have got a pretty handy lead over the rest of the field at this point.
Well, Nicole, of course, is going to be also in this simulation in 4 days' time with Try NZ, so she'll be wanting to work hard today and then do the simulation in 4 days.
Well, and that's the thing with Nicole is you know, the pathway is there for her for Tokyo to go to the Olympic Games. It's all in front of her. She just needs to execute the plan at this point.
The other interesting thing is a number of our elite females have decided to go into the sprint event today.
She's just coming through to start the bike league now is Nicole van der Kay. So she's in the lead of the women's race, and she has had an outstanding swim, Mark. 17, unofficially we're looking at 17:45 for 1,500 metres. I mean, that's a very, very good swim. Rebecca Clark just coming past now, so probably about a 15-second lead that Nicole has over Rebecca.
We probably wouldn't have picked it that way. We would have reversed the order if we were picking it.
Which shows me that you know, Nicole is here to make a statement as we head into the New Zealand summer. You know, best part of about 8 or 9 months out from the Tokyo Olympic Games.
Hannah Wells has just come out of the water as well. Shane Bradley, I noticed he's out there today. His youngest daughter, his eldest daughter, she's only 14, is competing today as well. So nice family affair by the Bradleys.
Yeah, and see Alice Adams is in there as well. So they're, you know, just there with Hannah. Hannah's still got her swim cap on, and she is the reigning champion here at the Tinman Triathlon. As we see Nicole van der Kay out the front and just heading along Pilot Bay, she'll turn right and head around the front of Mount Maunganui and add on to Ocean Road and out towards the turnaround.
She's looking very, very good, Cameron.
Oh, look, she is an outstanding athlete, Mark. She really, really is. And, you know, a lot of people may not have heard too much about Nicole van der Kay, but she is a very, very good athlete. You know, at the Commonwealth Games, she's part of a team who got themselves a bronze medal in the teams race, and she is a very, very good athlete.
Yeah, often with those teams events, a mixed team event, often the women are hidden away a little bit, aren't they? And they don't come out as much as the men's do. But she was really one of the mainstays of that team.
She was. You know, we were. You know, New Zealand was sort of in a vulnerable position at that time, and Nicole had a very, very good race. As Hannah Wells comes past us now, and Alice Adams is right behind her, and they're just. When I say coming past us, what I mean by that is they're just coming out of transition. The central commentary position is right by the finish line, and that's where everybody's getting on the bikes and on their way. So
interesting, just looking at the different mounting of the bikes, the different options that the athletes are taking. I guess the more experienced Olympic and sprint distance athletes are so much more proficient at it.
Just making sure I had that right there. So definitely how it's panning out. So Dylan McCulloch. Good to see Nicole getting some nutrition in her quickly. She runs very, very well too, Mark. Very well. But Hannah Wells has been doing a lot of cycling, so it'll be interesting to see how she goes over this, because Hannah's going to have to catch up Nicole and get into the lead of this before the run, because you'd suggest, well, they're both actually very, very good runners, but Hannah Wells, if she wants to hang on to the title that she has here, will need to bridge up fairly quickly.
Well, also interesting, I mean, she ran the half marathon last week, the Auckland Half Marathon. She ran it with a brother, so she wasn't full on, because she's actually faster than a brother, but she jogged around. But, you know, how's that going to play out with the legs, having done a half marathon a week earlier?
Yeah, we're going to find out in a hurry, I guess. And those people who are viewing here on Sky Sport Next will be able to see as we go along here with... So it's hard to judge, and we'll be able to figure that out as we get to the turnaround, how Dylan's going and what he's trying to do. I mean, he's set up to race, right? He's got the disc on the back. He's got he's got everything there to make him go as quick as he can.
Yeah, so he's certainly got the disc, and he'll be flying as he goes out to the turnaround. The difficulty is going to be when he comes back, because he's going to be into a bit of more of a headwind.
Yeah, he will be, and it is quite a headwind too, isn't it? When I say quite a headwind, I think it's it's around 15 to 18 kilometre per hour northwesterly that's rolling through here, but it is right on the nose for these guys and girls as they come back in towards the mountain. You've got to do that 3 times.
Although I must say that the wind has actually dropped a little bit from when we had race start.
Yes, it has. But you can see as you look out on that shot, as we look out to Main Beach, and it's this side of the other side of Leisure Island there, it's down towards Tay Street, where the surf spots are. It's quite rough out there, isn't it, compared to what we had around Pilot Bay.
Yeah, incredibly rough out in the Main Beach. So you see one of the male athletes overtaking Nicole.
Yeah, one of the age group athletes here heading out past her there, so she won't be too stressed about it. But you just got to check yourself when it comes to, because it is non-drafting, so you got to make sure that you're not too close to the athlete in front of you. And sorry, Mark.
So Cameron, we just saw a big picture there of a massive puddle, and that was just a reflection of how much rain fell last night. It was always predicted, a big storm that came through, and it definitely was there. I just want to talk about the consequences of the storm on the road. I mean, we've had such a dry patch here in New Zealand. What is going to happen now as a result of a lot of rain yesterday, and consequently the glass that'll be lifting off the road as a consequence of the rain?
Yeah, well, that's right. So it does. And often too, you get a bit of oil comes up out of the road. On these on the tar seal, a little bit of oil comes up, and often, like you say, you get a bit of glass will come out and that kind of thing. So you got to make sure, because as you look at Nicole, there ain't no spares on that bike, is there? And it's like that for a lot of the elite athletes. As you look at the age group athletes, the elites are like, well, they don't carry spares because they know it is 100% a match of a game of inches of seconds, and if you get a puncture, well, your day's over.
Absolutely over, and they'll be just riding as hard as they can. They won't have that in their mind. No, I mean, they'll be riding as if nothing is going to happen, everything's going to be perfect today, and just going for it.
So Dylan McCulloch, so he's turned around and heading back, and you can see the mountain in the background, so he's heading back, but the plan for him here will be to be as aerodynamic as he possibly can, get his head down into that aerodynamic position, Mark, and just pedal back. It's interesting when you see some guys, you see some guys when it comes to these non-drafting events that are very good at making themselves aerodynamic, and there are other people that aren't. But, Kyle's got from my very uneducated eye, it seems to have a fairly good position. Probably wants to stop worrying about what's happening behind him and just get into his work and pedal.
Yeah, because every time he looks behind, I mean, you're upsetting your rhythm, you're upsetting your streamlining.
Yeah, you end up creating a bit of drag, don't you? So, but he should have gotten a good idea as to where the rest of the guys in this field are. Taylor Reid, and he'll be looking out for the likes of Hayden Wilde and Kyle Smith. Kyle was quite a way behind.
If you're going to make a statement and you're going to go out in front, you just got to back yourself and continue that process. Not worry about where anybody else is. If they come through, and then you readjust.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at some of the, he was originally going to be here, but not here today. The great man, the legend Cameron Brown. You look at Brownie, he doesn't care what's happening behind him. A lot of those guys do, they just put their heads down and go.
Well, it's not very often that people are too far behind, are they? He just goes for it. You're right.
Yeah. Well, if he worried what was happening behind him, then the last 30 years would have been a waste of time for Brownie. Outstanding athlete. He's not here today. He reckons he's about a week away from being fit, but that's Cam Brown fit, which is fitter than most.
That's fit for an Ironman too.
Yeah.
He's actually going to do an event in Auckland next week, at the Raiatai event, and that's what he said was going to be his priority. Just have a look how much calmer it is now out in Pilot Bay.
Yeah, it really is. So Kyle Smith making pretty short, my apologies, Dylan McCulloch rather, making pretty short work of this first lap, Mark. And it is 40 kilometre bike as we talk about, and three laps that he will have to undertake. So he'll come in almost just not too far before you get back to transition as the turnaround. So it's a real basic out and back on this bike.
Yeah, very much in the aero position the whole time as well. Just tucked up and just get those legs turning over, keep it consistent.
And like you're talking about before, Mark, it's just a case of sticking to your process. You make your plan. You would have discussed a plan with his coach and his team, and then it's up to him to execute that plan.
What he's going to be coming into now is a couple of speed bumps as he heads into the mount itself, and you have to just negotiate those speed bumps. They're quite tough. You saw earlier on that it knocks the athletes around on their bike a bit as well.
Yeah, and if you're not used to being in that aero position, for a lot of athletes right across the board today, it can be quite unnerving. You know, you'll see a lot of people that will just grab the drops, you know, where the brakes are on the sides there, just to make sure they've got some stability as they head over those.
Particularly if the arms are a little bit sweaty as well. Just holding on, negotiating it if you're less experienced on the bike, if you don't have the same skill sets.
I've seen a few over the years here at this race at the Tinman, and also at the Tauranga Half Ironman in January, where people have hit those speed bumps a bit hard and their seat posts have snapped. Seen that a few times as well over the years. So
it's not something you do really truly want to see.
No. It's definitely game over on that point. So Dylan McCulloch, we'll get an idea soon as to where he is in comparison to the opposition. And in that women's racing comes through.
Yeah, that's a really important point, is the white lines themselves, how slippery they are once you get a bit of rain as well. Just another factor in triathlon.
Of course.
And there's one of those big speed bumps that we've just been talking about. Another one coming up here any moment. Just have a look how he negotiates over there. And of course, you've still got the white lines on those as well.
Yeah, but Dylan, he's hit those very, very well, and he just made sure he didn't quite hit the white cycle line there as he came through. We got good.
They aspire to it and they train for it, and as you said, this is a selection for that as well.
Yeah, and there's other people that are at the other end of the spectrum that they just want to come out and have a crack, and they're like, I've been training for goodness knows how long, and races being moved, and doing a lot of the Triathlon New Zealand online series that they've done through Zwift and all the rest of it, which is wonderful that they've done, to try and keep the athletes motivated.
And here's that shower that we were talking about. It was predicted that we will have on and off showers all morning. Nothing massive, but on and off.
And it's not massive. But it's not cold, Mark. It's still sitting around 18 degrees or so. But yeah, just that rain coming in, bit of a wind behind it. But the athletes will all be nice and warm at this point. The water wasn't overly cold, so it'll be not a bad day for racing for them. So I can definitely tell you that is Dylan McCulloch there, as he's heading back, heading along on the bike there. We'll have a look and try and figure out where he is in comparison to some of the other athletes on this at the moment. Very, very good athlete that he is. But Dylan McCulloch, as you said, he has spent a lot of time over the years, seems to have those races where either he dominates or he's in the pack. And so far, he started off exceptionally well. He'll be very, very happy with how it's panning out so far.
Oh, I think he's looking outstanding. If he just carries on focusing on his own race, this could be an extremely good day for him.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the Falcon goes, Hayden Wilde, how he goes, because I think for him, that's going to be, he'll be looking to cycle up as much as he can. Obviously, we know that Hayden Wilde is a very, very good runner. He had a really good crack at Bill Bailey's hour record recently at Mount Smart that was on Sky Sport Next, and didn't quite make it. It was a horrible old Auckland day, wasn't it? And the legend Bill Bailey's record stands, but it shows the pedigree of Hayden Wilde as an athlete and as a runner as well.
Yeah, look, it was a terrible day, and it was, all guts to him for having a go on that day, because it certainly, the conditions were not for him at all. No,
they weren't for anybody. I don't know if I'm assuming this is a team swimmer here that's just taking it easy.
So the green caps are 45 and overs.
Yeah, I think he disqualifies that fella. Pink cap's been the women's race. And we've also had some teams in there as well with white caps. You'll see the odd one scattered around as well. So as we head through to as a swimmer, she's an outstanding swimmer. So to be in front of her, and she's in front by a good 4 or 5 seconds. So this is not just a lucky break or something. Nicole has had an outstanding swim so far and onto the bike.
Well, it also shows the tenacity of Nicole and how she's preparing for Tokyo next year. And so she's leaving no stone unturned. She's preparing correctly. She's racing really well, racing hard. And that's a great sign for the team, the mixed relay team.
Yes, it is. And, we'll see.
What are they currently ranked? What, 4th in the world, aren't they?
I think it's 4th. I think it is. They're right up there, aren't they?
Certainly are, and I think that Triathlon New Zealand have done an outstanding job of just turning the circle a little bit. High performance. He was a great swimmer, great biker, great runner, and he was an overall triathlete per se.
Yeah, he was, and he's one of the originals that really picked that sport up and gave it a shake in the sort of standard distance. But I was going to say with Hamish as well, he's also an outstanding developer of talent, isn't he? He's very good at identifying people and bringing them through and mentoring them and getting them in the right coaching circles. Here, Triathlon New Zealand have done a very, very good job bringing some of these young people through. It's Rebecca Clark, just a few, atmospheric conditions with our coverage at the moment. But Rebecca Clark, so unsure if that's coverage of Rebecca in first or second, but she's raced standard distance for some time. She's sort of stepped up, shall we say, stepped up in distance, that is, to half Ironman and through Ironman distance as well these days. But Bex loves nothing more than racing, though, does she?
No, she loves racing, and she enjoys just the atmosphere that it creates, and enjoys the camaraderie of her fellow athletes as well. And that's special. I don't think it's just, we talk about Rebecca. I think that goes for all of them. They do enjoy each other's company. And, even if you go right back to the likes of Hamish Carter, he did enjoy the company of his fellow athletes around him as well.
Yeah.
And we did have such fantastic results at that time.
Yeah, we did.
They were fiercely competitive. They didn't love each other in every capacity,
of course
they
not.
respected each other, and they did enjoy each other's company.
The Olympic YouTube channel has been playing a lot of stuff recently, is Rebecca Clark. So Bex will be heading back towards the transition area to complete her first lap. So one of three for the 40 kilometres that we have here. So you can just see she'll be turning just a slight sort of left up ahead of her, and then that takes you back round towards Mount Maunganui and through to the transition area. Still a heck of a lot of athletes coming through transition, isn't there, Mark, in the age groups?
Yeah, there are, and that's always going to be the case, isn't it? That swimming is such a taught sport, and it's only the first of three disciplines.
So Nicole van der Kay, number 1014. So Nicole, she's sat, I've got to say, she's sat very, very well as she goes through. She's stayed in that good cycling position for all we've seen of her for this first lap, which is very, very good to see.
And of course, this is a non-drafting race as well, Cameron, where the athletes have to, between the two bikes, have to stay 10 metres apart.
Yeah, so there's some intricacies around that, but essentially if you get past somebody, it's up to them to drop back at that point. It creates shall we say, some choice words between athletes at times.
Yeah, so the onus of responsibility is for the athlete that's being passed to drop back, as opposed to the athlete that is passing to accelerate.
Yes, correct. So Rebecca Clark, just at the end here, she'll just take a little left and get round to the
Cafe Corner?
Yeah, Cafe Corner there. So I'm thinking she's just in the lead at the moment, Mark. But yeah, there we go. So there's Nicole van der Kay just behind her. So it's not too far between the two of them, but Nicole is just in second place as they come past the hot pools just be on the right-hand side. Lovely ice cream shop there.
And as the wind picks up as well, it's tough conditions. It really has toughened up this wind.
Yeah. Hopefully our wee easy up tent head stays down. We'll be right. Anyway, we'll hang on to it. So most of the athletes shouldn't be too far away from being out of the water at this point. So it's what now, 8:15, coming up 8:15. We had our elite, our first age group, our first wave of men was underway at 7:30. Second wave was underway at 7:31. Women's race was underway at 7:35. So pretty much all the athletes should be almost out of the water by now. And we can see shots of these athletes coming back towards, coming in and out of transition.
It can't be easy shots for the drones either in these conditions, because it is quite blustery up there.
Oh, absolutely. And the way the wind's coming, it's coming from where we are at Pilot Bay. It's kind of coming from out behind the mount, so it'll be quite blustery coming out around that side. And it'll be also interesting when we get onto the run, because it's one lap of the run, as to how that's going to pan out for these guys.
Gee, it's a beautiful run though, isn't it? Once you go around the base track of the mountain, it is just stunning. 3Ks around the base track. It's a 10K run in total, just one lap. But it is a beautiful run. I'm not sure if the elites are going to be out there and looking around at the scenery, but if you're a slower athlete, you certainly would be taking the opportunity to just have a look around because it is beautiful.
Oh, it is, very much so. And as you go around there, you know, there's people in, we'll just see the orca whales cruising around the back. There's lots of seals around the side on the rocks and everything. I don't know how many athletes will be stopping for a look today. That's sort of the hammer down, maybe going to look later. But you know, it truly is a beautiful part of the world here, isn't it?
Oh, I think everywhere. And, you know, I mean, we just keep reinforcing how lucky we are to actually have events once again.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We were just looking at some commentary of commentators overseas. Talk about that, Cameron, just what we saw from Mike Riley.
Oh, our good mate Mike Riley, who's obviously one of our fellow commentators from Ironman days, and he is commentating Ironman Florida today, first one they've had for a very long time, but he is...
in fact, the last time he commentated was in
Ironman
Taupo
New
in
Zealand,
March.
Taupo, yeah, but with that, though, he's having to wear a face shield, like full-on PPE and everything. It's, pretty full-on, but you know, we're very, very lucky as we see this. It's a wonderful place to be, isn't it?
Oh, it totally is.
Went for a wander up the mount with one of the kids yesterday. Wonderful views from the top of there and down to the ice cream shop and everything.
Because yesterday was a totally different conditions altogether. It was first thing in the morning, it was stunningly no wind at all. There was an overcast day, but when the sun came out, it was really, really hot.
Oh, very hot indeed. Just trying to see if I can find a link, so I'll get that to you as quick as I can anyway, but figuring out where we are and who's going on. So that was Nicole van der Kay that we can see here in that women's race. So it looks like this our motorbike and camera person are just trying to bridge up a little. I was just hoping, last we saw, Rebecca Clark had overtaken Nicole van der Kay to get into the lead of this race.
Well, Rebecca Clark is a really tough cyclist.
Yes, she is. But Nicole van der Kay, you know, she'd back herself on the run.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for her, it's just like we've been talking about, Mark. You control the controllables, don't you? You stick to your plan. If someone takes off, I mean, at some point you've got to make a call to go, goodness me, she's going up the road. The race is literally leaving me. You've got to plan another plan. But at this point, this early in the race, is just stick to what plan you've planned out for yourself.
Yeah, so with Nicole in this situation, we'll be just looking ahead, making sure that it's not, that gap isn't breached too fast. You'll be keeping the bungee cord as such out there to make sure that it's not too far away from Rebecca. So we'll be just keeping her sights down on her. Once again, just going over those speed bumps. Because at this point too, they'll also have a wind behind them.
Yeah, they will. And there is, whilst we were saying it's not a huge wind, and it seems to, before we had a shower come through, the wind actually picked up, but it's dropped off again now, isn't it? So it is quite an unusual weather pattern.
Yeah, definitely surges of wind. There's no two ways about that. But just look at these stunning views.
Oh, it's just outstanding, isn't it? Along the side of Pilot Bay there. A whole lot of people there watching. You're going to see that's just as we look at that shot, to the right of that shot is the finish line. So they're just duck into Princess Street, I think it is, from memory.
Yep, that's Princess Street turnaround.
Yeah, and then head out for the second lap. And so they turn around there twice, and the third time they come back into transition, and they're off for a run, and a nice 10-kilometre jog run. And they head out from transition exactly where they've been going on the run, turn around at Tay Street, around the Mount Base track, and back to the finish line. Nicole van der Kay. So yeah, you can see with the wind behind her giving a really good push, and all the rest of these athletes as they head out towards the turnaround.
Yeah, Nicole seems to be breathing pretty well there as well. Seems to be very much containing herself, in control. Doesn't look flustered whatsoever. Nice cadence. Great feeling when you're passing other athletes as well. And also it's part of the processes in the mind of the athletes is just to set your goals on the next athlete in front of you, go round them, albeit that she's on her second lap, some of them are on their first lap. And she is just making sure she hydrates as well, keeping the nutrition in. I noticed she has 2 bars lapped onto her bike. She's still got the 2 of them there. She hasn't touched either of those.
Yeah, and that's something we talk about quite regularly, isn't it, Mark? It's the 4th discipline being nutrition, and to make sure that you are getting the nutrition plan right, and don't sort of, a lot of athletes fall into that trap, don't they, of, it'll be okay, I'm not that hungry at the moment. You've got to make sure that you have a plan and you stick to that plan when it comes to eating, as we see Dylan McCulloch looking very aerodynamic. He seems to have decided, yep, it's time to just put my head down and go. Same for Nicole Vandekay, but from the last update we saw, Nicole is in second place with Rebecca Clark just in front of her, but we'll confirm that when we can.
Great footage here of Nicole. Of course, this will be great for her to go back and also utilise this footage and use it for her own training purposes, analysis. Once again, we've got a shot there of Pilot Bay. Unfortunately, conditions aren't always ideal for us.
So as we look ahead, so just hearing that everybody is out of the water, so it's good news. Everyone's out on the cycle course now, Mark, which is a nice start to get everything done. But I mean, look at Pilot Bay. It's calmed right down now, isn't it?
Yeah, the wind comes, it's awful. When it's dropped down like that, it's really, really beautiful.
And bearing in mind we do have the sprint race starts at 10:30, so the athletes that will probably be arriving in the near future for the sprint race will be looking out at that going, easy, thanks very much.
Well, it is great actually, Cameron, to see that everybody has got out of the water. It's a big relief for the organisers with, the magnificent support that they get from all of the life-saving people, the IRBs that are out there. They do a sterling job, all the volunteers, don't they?
So looking at this, that looks to me like, yes, there's Dylan McCulloch there. It looks to me like he's heading back in for his second lap, Mark.
Yeah, I would think he would be due for a second lap any moment.
So just pulling out wide, getting past a lot of these age group athletes. That's one of the beautiful things about our sport, isn't it, Mark? That you can be the absolute rookie and lining up next to professional athletes.
And you're rubbing shoulders with them. You're rubbing shoulders with them from the start of the day at 6 a.m. when transition opened to out here on the course to the finish line as well.
And that is one of the unique things about our sport, especially in this country as well, that people are more than happy. You can rock up to Hannah Wells or Mark Bostead or whoever and say, hey, how you going? And they'll have a chat, and it's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Definitely a wonderful thing.
So that's just, as we've been talking about, hot pulls just on the side there. So here we have Dylan McCulloch. Just
wonder how busy the hot pools will be later on at the end of this race.
I'd say very. And it'll be, for people who aren't necessarily at the sharp end of the field, a lot of people are here, mum's racing or dad's racing or mum and dad are racing, and the kids, they kind of put up with it for a while, but afterwards it's trips to the ice cream shop for a walk up the mountain, go to the hot pools. But that's one of the other things about these races here at Mount Maunganui is everything that you can do around the local Bay Area as well.
But equally, Cameron, it's amazing how many family affairs are going on today. The whole family out there racing, from mum, dad, and the children.
Yeah.
And again, this just typifies the amazing nature of the sport.
Yeah, it does, and it's a and especially here, we've got some very good triathlon clubs, especially here with who we have in. So Dylan's just coming to the turnaround at Princes Street there, yeah.
So that'll be one of the few moments where he's able to get out of the
there,
aerodynamic position.
Yeah, exactly. Turnaround. That's the end of lap 2, so the next time he comes through, it'll be through to the finish line. and we'll be able to get a very good bead on exactly who's doing what and where. But, you know, we've talked before about where Dylan's at and what he's doing, and he is going exceptionally well at the moment, isn't he?
He's having a great day, and long may that continue. Because, you know, at the end of the day, we want to see competitive athletes out there.
And also to see, you know, people that are able to execute their race plan and execute their game plan, unlike a certain team last night. But I won't go there, it'll just wind me up. So here we are on Sky Sport Next with live coverage of the Tinman Triathlon, Suzuki North Island Standard Distance Triathlon Championships, proudly brought to you by Triathlon New Zealand on Sky Sport Next. And in the lead in the men's race, we have Dylan McCulloch. And Dylan was right up the front with Taylor Reid coming out of the swim. He's now 2/3 of the way through the 40-kilometre bike. Afterwards, a gentle 10-kilometre run. Nothing gentle about that run for these guys, is there? In the women's race, Nicole Vanderkay was first out of the water. Rebecca Clark not too far behind her. Last update we had, Bex was in the lead with Nicole in second, but not much between those two young ladies. So some very, very good racing so far, Mark.
Yeah, 10Ks is just going to be 10Ks of hell, isn't it? It's 30 to 35 minutes of just putting your hammer down. As we see Dylan McCulloch coming around the turn here. Cafe Corner. Once again, just getting down and getting into it. Just have a look how quickly he gets back into his stride, having done 2 laps, knowing that he's got 1 more lap to go. So just repeating it, he's completed a 1500 swim. He's well underway for his 40Ks on the bike, and then a 10K run. Just notice he's staying out wide as he possibly can as he passes the slower athletes. Wants to make sure, because when you're a slower athlete, you just don't have the same bike skills. You don't want to get into trouble. You don't want to have a poor bike skill handler coming out and knocking you around. So again, a good shot here of Dylan, just keeping his rating up all the time. He'll be very, very aware. Very aware of what's going on around him. Because having turned around at the second point, he'll be able to know exactly how much of an advantage he has over the second-placed athlete at this stage. He'll also be very aware of what sort of wattage he'll be pushing on this bike, knowing that he's still got a 10-kilometre run to do. It's not an easy run. Around the base track of the mountain, it's pretty relentless. It's undulating, and that's what makes it extremely hard, is the fact that it's an undulating run versus if you are, just going out towards Tay Street on the run, it's pretty flat. But once you get around the base track of the mountain, it's a lot different terrain. Tactics are going to be slightly different for all of these athletes. 3 laps on the bike. When do you put the hammer down? When do you start pushing the pace along? So we cut back here to Nicole Vanderkay. Just not quite sure whether she's taken over the lead from Rebecca Clark or whether Rebecca Clark is up the road a little bit. To get confirmation of that, but here we just see back a number of other athletes behind her, age group athletes, doing it because they enjoy getting out there, staying fit and healthy, the lifestyle that it creates. See all of these athletes in the aerodynamic position, the aero bars out in front, slightly different setup because that needs to be adjusted according to how you cope with the various setups. There's a lot of science that goes into it as well. It's a very, very flat course. I see a small grimace there from Nicole. Yeah, once again, just taking in a bit of liquid. So important. Even though it's wet and slightly windy out there, so important still to keep hydrated, Cameron.
Yeah, a lot of these, and it's often it's hard to estimate if it's been raining a little bit and you don't necessarily feel dehydrated. You've got to trust that you are dehydrated, and you need to keep that fluid and that food up, don't you?
Interesting, she's carrying 2 drink bottles, possibly one of them just straight water.
Yeah, it often happens. And it's the hydration and nutrition is quite complex these days compared to how it may have been in the past, and so athletes can get all sort of mixes going and make sure they're okay.
Good shot of the V-bike, probably Yanni Kutos.
Yanni rolling past. Well, he was doing some sort of hand signals to the camera, so I'd suggest that it would be Yanni, kind of thing you do. Great supporter of Triathlon New Zealand and these local races as well, isn't he?
Oh, he's just been around forever and he loves it. Absolutely loves it, and loves supporting all of the younger athletes. Yeah. But he's also been an incredibly loyal servant of Cameron Brown.
Yes, he has.
Runs a nice cycling studio as well in Auckland.
So Nicole van der Kay, so she's cycling very, very well. I mean, there's no questioning the pedigree of her triathlon execution. She had an outstanding swim. She can see here she cycles very well. We know she can run very, very well, Nicole. And this may be her day to stand up and really go. I mean, there's some other that we had not seen much yet out of our coverage, and just trying to get some updates for us on the likes of where Hannah Wells is. And the thing is with these girls, they would have tried very hard for the likes of Rebecca Clark and for Nicole, for these young ladies to get ahead of Hannah as much as they can. Hannah is the reigning champion here. She's a local here, lives not too far away, so wants to make sure that she comes here and dominates her home race as people try to.
So just coming back to it, so they're doing an Olympic distance triathlon today. In 4 days' time in Cambridge, they're going to do a mixed event, sprint distance triathlon that the high performance program is putting together. How are they going to react straight from this, where they're doing an Olympic distance and in 4 days' time have to absolutely go and put straight out speed together? Short swim, short bike, short run.
Yeah, but you know that these guys, it's hard, right? Because they do recover quickly, but there is that lag effect as you go through and you keep loading that training up. But it's a wonderful place for them to be. Race hard now, then go hard again in 4 days. I mean, they would have to plan for it, Mark, and make some sort of plan around how that is. But on that, though, you're just not going to hold back at all as you go there. So that was, we saw in the front of that shot was Rebecca Clark. And then we'll look back here and should be Nicole van der Kay. So that is confirmation of first and second place here in this race here at Mount Maunganui as the sun comes out, Mark.
Yeah, with Yanni Kutos between the two of them as well.
Of course he is.
So that is confirmation that Rebecca Clark is slightly out in front from Nicole van der Kay.
Yeah, it is, and that'll be, Bex and her coach Rob Dallymore will be. That would have been their plan for her to get her nose out in front as soon as she could. Probably didn't expect for Nicole to have as good a swim as she did, but in fact, I think they would have planned that, to know that Nicole would have been there or thereabouts. But Nicole, to me, has made a real statement so far in this race. But we can't underestimate the pedigree of Rebecca Clark, is that she is a very good triathlete and has been for quite a period of time.
Yeah, has been very much a very good triathlete for a long time, and has worked really hard to try and improve her running as well, because she knows that's her weakest discipline.
Absolutely. But the thing is that she's been doing a lot of very focused efforts on that. It's also what I like about this sort of race is this is the real clash between those who are the longer distance athletes, the likes of Hannah Wells, who is a specialist in the half Ironman distance these days, Rebecca Clark, half Ironman and further up. But then we can also look to see that these young ladies, as they clash in the middle in a race like this. So you just got an update here as well, Mark.
Yeah, just got an update out on the course from the men's event. We've got Hayden in second position. He's 1 minute back. Taylor is in third position, 2 minutes back. And Kyle's in fourth, 2 minutes 40 back. So that's just an update out on the course.
Well, that shows us, though, Mark, that that's going to be one heck of a run. For that 10 kilometres, if Hayden's got, if Dylan McCulloch, as we talked about, Dylan is a very, very good athlete. And, I'm sure people will realise that he has been in the past, hot or cold, but when he's hot, he is going. And for him to be there doing that and to have that update from out in the course was outstanding, because that helps us immensely. So with Hayden Wilde, and we talked about him and his running pedigree. He's obviously been running a lot, had a crack at Bill Bailey's 1 hour record on Sky Sport Next a few weeks ago at Mount Smart in Auckland. Didn't quite pan out for him on an awful Auckland night. But having those two and that sort of gap with Taylor Reid not that far back either, 2 minutes. And Kyle Smith, Kyle in the half Ironman back in Taupo in December, he led from start to finish. He went wire to wire. He didn't have a great swim today. They don't know why. But
he went wild in Taupo, didn't he, in that event? But he had a great day, outstanding day.
Yeah, he did.
So he's certainly got a big engine on him.
Hayden?
Yeah.
Oh, another level, isn't it? Yeah, he's affectionately known as the Falcon, young man from Western Bay of Plenty originally. Another one for him, which is a local race. But what I like about this is that Dylan McCulloch is just absolutely just putting himself out there and having a real go at this race and basically saying, if you want this title, come get me. Let's have a go. But you've got guys like Hayden Wilde and Taylor Reid. They're going to say, yeah, fine, let's have a crack, let's go. So I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of this bike ride, Hayden Wilde will be, if all things are equal, 1 minute back, head back himself to get up close to Dylan at that point over 10 kilometres.
What you'll see also in the last part of the bike is that the athletes will start spinning their legs a little bit more, because they need to be able to transition from the bike onto the run. You keep pushing big gears, particularly in the aero position, you're going to not have a great run as a consequence of that. So you need to make sure that you're just starting to spin a little bit more, and that'll be something that will be going on in their mind right now. At the back of their heads, they'll be thinking, hey, how do I actually transition into this run?
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more, Mark. And you can see, just can't believe how good the shots are out over Mount Maunganui, heading out on the ocean side, on the Pacific Ocean side of everything. See your apartment in the top floor there. It's lovely.
You'll be out there on your surfboard later on, no doubt.
Yeah, no. That'll go very
Great shot of the hot pools there as well on the left-hand side.
One other thing about this race is on the run, when we get onto the run fairly soon.
Actually, that top apartment just by the by is Sir Colin Giltrap's.
Is it really?
Yeah, who's done so much for motorsport in this country. Incredible.
Yes, he has.
Amazing philanthropist.
So the cool thing when you get onto the bike, off the bike rather, onto the run of this, is the run goes around the Mount Base track. And a lot of people don't realise, Mark, how far that actually is. I mean, 3 kilometres, and it's quite undulating. It's not flat at all, is it?
No, it's rough terrain under your feet as well. It's not flat. You've got to make sure that you think about that. Easy to twist an ankle. God, it sounds like doom and gloom, but it isn't easy around that base track. And anybody will tell you, when you hit that base track, things can change very quickly in terms of how you are feeling. Not easy actually to overtake either, because it's so thin in terms of the base itself.
And the climbs aren't large, but they're quite sharp, aren't they? And then as they come off the Mount Base track, you just come around the side, and you come off the Mount Base track, and you can see the finish line at Pilot Bay in the distance, and you just sort of think, right, that's where I've got to get to. But it's still quite a way. I think it's about 750 metres or so from the end of the base track back to the finish line. So a lot can happen in that area if someone's right up beside you.
Yeah, and don't we love a sprint finish as well?
Yeah, well, and as commentators and watchers on Sky Sport Next, we love a good sprint finish, but the athletes hate them, eh? They just hate them. But, we're here to watch them and for us to commentate this race and for the people to be watching this to see that happen. So let's see as we look at that turnaround here at Princes Street.
Yeah, one of the hardest things is actually this turnaround as well. You've got to drop all your gears down. You've got to make sure that you negotiate it carefully. You don't want to fall off your bike in front of everybody, because that's actually where a lot of spectators are, because it's the slowest part that you will be going and people can recognise you.
Yeah.
So, it can be a very embarrassing moment.
Just getting another update from the course. So Nicole and Rebecca Clark, Nicole van der Kay, Rebecca Clark. So Rebecca Clark first, Nicole van der Kay second. 85 seconds. So what's that, a minute 15 advantage on Hannah Wells into the last 10 kilometres of this bike ride. So 30k is gone, 10 to go for these young women.
So what's that, 1:15 ahead of Hannah Wells. So that's not significant either, because Hannah, boy, she's got a big engine on her.
Oh, incredible.
I don't know whether she'll have the speed.
Well, I would have thought that if you were Nicole van der Kay's coaching team, you would have thought, I need probably, if I can get a minute, the concern for them would have been, because Hannah Wells, as you say, is a very good bike rider, and they were worried that she would have come up and gotten in front of them. And Nicole would be thinking, if I can keep Hannah behind me, then she's going to have a real good crack over this 10 kilometres to be able to win this race for Nicole van der Kay. But Hannah Wells, as you talked about, when it starts getting really tough, she is the queen of gritting her teeth and pushing harder, isn't she?
Oh, that big Subaru engine on her will just take off.
Of course. So we can see shots down of Pilot Bay, and we'll let you know as soon as we see some of these athletes turn around and get back in towards us here at the central commentary position right beside the finish line. And as we've been saying, this is the Suzuki North Island Standard Distance Triathlon Champs. And at 10:30 this morning, we'll have the sprint race, which is half the distance again, 750 on the swim, 20Ks on the bike, 5Ks on the run. And that's a short, sharp race for the elite men, or the top men. They're sort of around 50 minutes, 45 to 50 minutes for the race done. Thanks very much.
And boy, this sun's just come out as well too, and it's quite strong now.
Typical New Zealand spring, isn't it?
Yep. And, I'm expecting to see the elite men within the next 5 minutes. Certainly going to be a great run. Tough as well when the sun is out.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we all know too, when the New Zealand sun comes out, it is really intense.
Yes, it is. So we'll be able to see, as this race keeps going, what's going to happen. So that last update we had, Hayden Wilde in second place, about 1 minute back from Dylan McCulloch. And look, Dylan was, a lot of people were thinking that this race, Dylan was always going to be there or thereabouts. A lot of people thinking that it was going to be a Hayden Wilde, Taylor Reid tussle at the front of this. But outstanding to see that Dylan McCulloch has put together a good race. So here he is, just coming into the transition now. He's finished the 40k bike, and that is Dylan McCulloch, one of our elite New Zealand athletes. And he came in hot, didn't he, Mark? Looking very, very fit and comfortable.
Yeah, looking great, and we'll just get a clock on how quickly A, he can do the transition, and B, what sort of an advantage he has as well.
And the thing is, if you can get out of transition before the next guy comes in, and he's racked his bike, he's got his race bib on, and he's on his way, he's running already. But if you can get out of transition, the psychological effect that has on second place is often quite large, isn't it?
Well, that's 30 seconds right now, and we haven't got second in, so that's a big advantage that he's got.
So we anticipated it would be around about 1 minute. He's a bit confused as to where he's going. Come on through this way, Dylan. And he'll be able to hook up with somebody to tell him that he's in the lead. So Dylan McCulloch, 55 minutes for the 40k bike. That's good going, Mark. That's very good going on a day like today.
So that's a minute advantage so far.
So last we heard as Dylan McCulloch heads past out onto the official run course, 10 kilometres, he has got an outstanding lead, Mark.
Yeah, outstanding, and he looks so comfortable as well. Just saw he didn't quite negotiate that turnaround very easily or well, but that's something that he has to take personal responsibility for. He must know what he has to do in transition.
And I can just see Hayden Wilde just starting to come towards us now, Mark, so we'll just wait for him to dismount and get a coming up towards the Tri-NZ officials.
So that's 1 minute 30 down.
1:30 for the Falcon. 1 minute 30 for Hayden Wilde.
So that means Dylan's really pushed the hammer down in that last part, this third lap of the course, because it was only a minute earlier,
And
so
that's-
it's now a minute 30.
And we've talked about that in the past, earlier in the coverage, Mark, is that is part of the idea, is try and string things out, just put some pain on some of these other guys as you get towards the end of the bike ride. So Hayden Wilde, very fast through transition. As Dylan McCulloch had he obviously didn't quite execute the last part of the transition well because he wasn't too sure where he was running. But Hayden Wilde, he will never die wondering.
No,
this young
how
man.
concerned do you reckon he'll be a minute 30 down?
Oh, no, why don't you just reach out and ask him? So,
I'll
Hayden,
do
what do
that.
you reckon?
Yeah, just get another breath and tell us what you're feeling.
So I'll just holler at him as he comes past that he's 1 minute 30 is what he's got there. So Hayden Wilde coming past the central commentary position.
So he's a minute 30 down.
So he runs, doesn't he, Mark? His run form, he bounces along on his toes and he's got a high leg turnover. But Dylan McCulloch, as we've talked about, when that boy is on, he's going to be very hard to catch. 1.5 minutes over that period of time will be tough. So 1.5 minutes over 10 Ks is a hard ask, but like a lot of these guys, they will not die wondering. They will absolutely have a go as they come through. So waiting for third place. Last we knew it was Taylor Reid with Kyle Smith sitting in fourth place.
Actually, I thought Hayden looked a little bit heavy on his feet when he came past us in this commentary position here.
It's often kind of how he rolls though, you know.
Yes, just it was a lot heavier tapping.
Taylor Reid into third place, heading into transition. And it's Kyle Smith right behind him. So Kyle Smith is bridged up. And
Martin?
Kyle Smith here, that's one of the Martin boys, David Martin. So Dylan McCulloch, Hayden Wilde, Taylor Reid rather, Kyle Smith, David Martin. So Reid, Smith, Martin, all very close. But Taylor Reid just dropped a 53-minute bike. That's
Wow.
very fast. That is very fast. I'd suggest he's the quickest cyclist out there today. No, I don't actually know. That's my mistake. It's a 58, so it's one of the slower ones, unfortunately, for Taylor. I was looking at his transition
say, I
time.
don't know how
My
he could
mistake.
do 53.
His transition time was 53 seconds in the first transition, so 58. I kind of got that wrong.
When he was one of the fastest swimmers as well.
Yes, he was. So we can see Kyle Smith, Taylor Reid, both heading out onto the the run rather. So as Saxon Morgan has just finished there, David Martin heading out. So that's third, fourth and fifth. They're all very close. And they'll try their hardest to key off each other, won't they, Mark, as they go out there, as we see.
Yeah, a lot easier to key off each other when you can see the athlete in front so easily.
So we'll have to see what the plan is. This is just one lap, 10 kilometres. And you'd expect these guys to be running, what would you expect, Mark, low 30s?
Oh, definitely low 30s on this course, very flat. Around the mountain is tough. We've always said that. But still, these athletes are good enough to run low 30s.
Yes, they are. As you can see, the Falcon, Hayden Wilde, and you can see he gets along there. You can see that cyclist going past him. It gives you an idea of how quick the guy runs.
Yeah.
Saxon Morgan just heading out of transition and on his way. We'll keep a lookout on the side here for when we see the first of our women, but bear in mind they did start 5 minutes behind the guys.
So I might have to take everything back about Hayden. He looks fantastic right now.
Yeah, no, he does.
A lot lighter. Look at the tapping of his feet.
And he's got a very high leg turnover, doesn't he, Mark? And the way he just holds his body, holds his head. Look, I'm no runner, but from watching elite runners over the years, his hips are sort of right under where his body is. He's got a big, strong guy, and he's able to really get good push off from his legs and down through his glutes and his hamstrings to get a real good spring in the step. Every step is very efficient.
Yeah, he looks really controlled right there. He won't be panicking at this stage. 30 minutes out there on the run. It's a long time still to go. Lots of things can happen.
Exactly, as we've had Adam Martin and Lachlan Haycock. That's Adam Martin just on shot there, heading out onto the 10-kilometre run. So 10Ks will be over very, very fast for these guys. They were saying we'll be expecting not long over half an hour for the 10 kilometres. Let's be honest, 30 minutes for it's not a bad 5K time, Mark, for most of us.
Be happy for that over 2Ks.
I mean, somebody like yourself, you know, you'd bash out 5Ks at about 16 or 17, wouldn't you?
Oh, it's just nice to still be able to do the odd run. That's
true.
When you get to my age, anything's good.
So here we have
Actually,
Dylan
when you get
McCulloch.
to my age, if you're alive, it's good.
So Dylan McCulloch, I love this shot because it's actually, you can see quite a way back and there's no Hayden Wilde.
Well, no, you wouldn't expect it after a minute and a half advantage that he had. But you can see there's a little bit of distress showing. Holding those arms quite high,
holds
not
the
relaxed.
shoulders very high, doesn't he?
And you just want to relax those shoulders. You want to let the energy flow through the body.
And it's hard when you're in we've talked before about you just got to put your head down and go. Hard thing for Dylan McCulloch here compared to the bike where you had a whole lot of turnarounds, you could see everyone was. You can't see where anyone is. It's one lap. At the turnaround at Tay Street, coming back, you'll be able to get an idea, but that is it.
Yeah, but there'll be people out on this course. They'll be letting him know exactly where he is and where the opposition is. He'll know that emphatically right through this whole 10 kilometres in the run.
Had the first of our age group athletes come through. Matt Kerr just turned up before. Very, very good race this morning for Matt in the 30 to 34 age category. But yeah, Dylan McCulloch in the lead here. Raced exceptionally well in the swim. Had a very, very good bike ride, and out here, heading out towards Tay Street, which is the turnaround. Definitely not halfway, just the turnaround to head back towards transition and round the Mount Base track.
But Cameron, also, we talk about the base track of the mountain. Heading up to Tay Street is just relentless as well. It's just one long straight course, and there he is, just couldn't get the water as he went through went through one of the aid stations.
But it's little things like that can unravel in the last few Ks of this race. There is no aid station around the Mount Base track. The last aid station is just at the campground before you go on there. And so missing, if he was aiming for that and he missed it, things like that can make a race difficult in that last few Ks when you have got 4 Ks at the end with no support.
And at the same time, he'll be going at the back of his mind, damn, I missed it. I dropped it. It's my responsibility to get that next time, and I've got to get that.
Yeah, more and more age group athletes heading into, as Luke Scott is one of our elites in there. Brendan Bergs has come through. He's having
the swim, led in the bike, fantastic. And he's leading the run.
And that's what I like the most about Dylan is, he is just come here to race. He has come here to race, and he's got guys like Hayden Wilde, like Taylor Reid, Kyle Smith, and others out there that are. This is a very, very good field, and he's out the front. And at the end of that bike, wasn't just to the front. It's a minute and a half. I mean, it's a decent lead.
Well, that's huge lead.
But, I think it probably took him a little while to get his running form on. But looking at that shot, Mark, he is running very, very well.
Yeah, it's pretty efficient, as you can see. I'd like to see the shoulders just drop a little bit, just let it flow. But he does look very, very in control. Yeah,
and quite efficient in the way he's running through his leg turnover. I think, comparing him to Hayden Wilde is probably a bit different. I mean, Hayden is Nicole Vanderkay when they come into transition and get a good eyeball on how the two of them are looking. As Mark Bosted just comes in.
Oh, here's a great shot. Serious.
What happened here?
Look at the difference here now. Unbelievable.
So that is Dylan McCulloch. Looks over his shoulder. That's it. Game over. There's Hayden Wilde, the Falcon, says to him, come on, bro. Pick it up. Stay with me. You can do this. Come on, come on. But
look at that
Hayden
turnover.
Wow,
look at the turnover difference. That's the race right there.
I mean, how do you I mean, look, let's be quite honest. This is one of the, with Hayden Wilde here, this is one of the best Olympic distance athletes on the planet right now. He is that good right now. He is ranked very, very highly, and he is one of the people to watch as we go into 2021 and the Tokyo Olympic Games.
Well, all around the world they're talking about this young man, and we're talking about him all over New Zealand as well.
Look, I mean,
that is just typifies how good he is.
But the thing is, that was 90 seconds, and it's not like Dylan McCulloch's having a bad race. Dylan McCulloch is having a very, very good race, and Hayden Wilde just went past him like it may as well be me out there. I mean, that's incredible.
The turnover was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Of those legs. Just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
So you can see one of our Ironman athletes, Mark Bosted, is just about to come past us in the central commentary position as more and more athletes are heading into finish their last 40Ks, or the 40Ks rather, of the cycle. There goes Mark past us now. Smile on his face, he'd be happy as anything to be out racing today.
Oh, absolutely. He had a lot of issues with his heart last year, retired from the sport completely because of it.
And there's Rebecca Clark, Mark, sorry to interrupt. Rebecca Clark just heading into transition. So she is in the lead in this women's race here today. So well done to Rebecca Clark. Just waiting for Nicole van der Kay. She will not be too far away. Nicole will be right there. So Rebecca Clark had a, what was that, 1:02 was her bike time, 1:02.32.
So what will be interesting here is the advantage that Rebecca Clark has.
So she's had a very, very quick transition, Mark. She's already wrecked her bike and she's on her way. So Nicole van der Kay will be here in the next few seconds, I would expect.
In fact, there's Nicole right now, so probably about 25 seconds.
Yeah, that sounds right. That's going to be a good race, Mark.
Yeah.
But, you know, you back the Olympic distance speed of Nicole van der Kay.
Oh, without a doubt. This will be, I think, a Dylan and Hayden all over again very quickly. With all due respect to Rebecca, I think there's a big difference in their running speeds.
Like we said before, you know, with Dylan McCulloch and Hayden Wilde, Dylan is a very, very good athlete. It shows the class of Hayden Wilde. Same thing here as Rebecca Clark in the lead here at the Tinman Triathlon, part of the Suzuki North Island Standard Distance Triathlon Championships. So, and there we have Nicole van der Kay just coming straight past out of transition and out onto the bike. So look, her first aim will be get to the lead of this race, Mark. It'll be her first aim, and you can even see coming past there is quite a difference in pace between when Rebecca's came past and when Nicole's come past. Yeah,
this is 25 seconds, and really that's not going to be too long before she takes over the lead.
No.
Just the nature of her and how much more classy runner she is, Nicole.
So Hannah Wells just got past us there, as I can see Walter Thorburn just coming in, one of the legends of our sport. So Hannah Wells is in transition now, and she'll be coming past us as well. So Hannah Wells, reigning champion here, and so she'll be looking to try and bridge up. That's got to be her first thing, to try and bridge up to these other two girls. It'll be interesting to see again. But you know, Hannah Wells, we talk about she won the Auckland Marathon last year. She was the overall women's champion of the Auckland Marathon. But you know, the longer distance maybe a bit more suited to Hannah. We're going to find out very, very quickly what her run speed is like and how she's going. But as she comes past us here, Hannah Wells is looking very, very comfortable and very efficient straight away.
Yeah, she's certainly a strong runner. As we see, have a look at Rebecca Clark here, and then when we get cut back into the second place runner at this stage, which is Nicole, you'll see a massive difference.
Yeah, you will, and it's just Pilot Bay over the back of Bex there. And, you know, Bex, as we said earlier, she loves racing. She absolutely loves racing, and she'll be looking at this as a nice lead into probably, I would suggest, Mark, the Tauranga half in January, possibly through to Ironman New Zealand in March. I'm not sure what her aims are for the year, but very different aims compared to Nicole. Her sole focus is Olympic qualification.
Absolutely. But you know, Bex is also an incredibly popular athlete as well.
Yes, she is.
And person, not just an athlete.
Walter Thorburn comes past us. So Walter Thorburn, for those who may or may not Walter, outstanding coach, outstanding athlete, races, I think my memory says 50 to 54 these days, still gallops along like he's 25.
I feel as if he's been in that age group for a long time.
I think he has. Former winner. I wouldn't be surprised if won Tinman overall in the past. Former winner of the Mount Half.
Well, and race record holder
for many years.
Many years.
Yeah.
And of course, it was only broken when the course was changed, and the course became faster as a consequence of the change.
Nick Bone just come in. You're a young fella. He's had a 1:11 on the bike, 18 minutes for the swim. Man, that's quick. So Hayden Wilde, he's making pretty short work of this, Mark, isn't he?
Yeah. It's slowed a little bit. The cadence is slowed. Just you can see the turnover, but yeah, he's certainly out in front. Look at him just taking in the water.
And look, when you haven't got the pressure on you as such, it makes a bit of a difference, doesn't it? But Hayden Wilde, I mean, he's got a lot of respect for this course, for these athletes. You know, he's an outstanding young man, and he will be looking to get to the end, to get to the victory line for this. So Hayden Wilde.
It's a great shot of him, though, isn't it?
Affectionately known as the Falcon. And the Falcon is absolutely flying this morning. Made very short work of Dylan McCulloch when they got onto the run, didn't they? But as we said, Dylan has raced so well today. And for Hayden, it just showed how well Hayden is going. Be interesting to see as we go through as well to see where it is that how Taylor Reid goes and how...
Get up there. Yanni's ahead of you. Get
So
going.
Mark Bone just yelling out to his son, Nick, come on, get up there. What are you doing? Nothing like parental support. But Nick being Nick, he's always got a smile on his face, doesn't he? So here we have the lead has been taken, Mark. As we see here, Nicole van der Kay now in the lead, just in front of Rebecca Clark. Rebecca's trying to hang on, but that virtual bungee cord will just start going. And they've just come around past the Mount Hot Pools, about to turn onto Ocean Road and head on down towards Tay Street.
Yeah, look how quickly that bungee cord stretched out as well. It was just a replica of the men's event, wasn't it? And the turnover, once again, if you see those two shots there between Nicole and Rebecca, massive difference between the two of them.
Yeah, and look, Kim Kadzo, who's also racing in the elite women's race today, she's just come through transition. So realistically, unless something catastrophic happens, that should be our top three women. What order that will be in, we'll soon to find out. But right now it's all Nicole van der Kay. And she's had a very, very good race today, hasn't she?
Yeah, look, you know, she's had a good swim, really good swim. She's had a solid bike, and what she'll be wanting to do here is work really hard. She knows that this is just part of her preparation to Tokyo next year, and I just think she's looking fantastic in every capacity.
But there's another one.
She's growing in maturity as well.
Yeah, she is. And Nicole, you know, we look at that, the way she runs. Another one who has a very good running style. She powers along, nice steps, a lot of power in each step as she goes. But here's Hayden Wilde. I mean, that's just a masterclass, really, isn't it?
Look, you know, we talk about the Olympic Games being the pinnacle, and as sad as it was that we saw the Olympic Games be put off this year, I think it's actually played into the favour of New Zealand athletes because they're so young. And I just think that extra year of development and maturity and physical growth is going to help them immensely.
Oh.
And the fact that, you know, we're COVID-free, there's a whole lot of factors around that as well. You know, I was talking to somebody, that an ex-New Zealander that's over in the States, he can't even get access into a swimming pool.
No.
He's been waiting since March, and he had his first swim on Saturday, yesterday. That's how long it's taken. And you actually have to apply to get into a pool. So that's his first part of training. You take that and transfer that through with all of their athletes over,
too hard.
over there. It is too hard.
You can see as Nicole taps away there, it's a big distance back now, isn't it? You can't, you know, Rebecca Clark is back in that, just in that little group there. So that's
well, your eyes are better than mine. I can't even see Rebecca.
That's
this
quite
is
a gap,
all,
though.
Yeah, this is all Nicole right now, isn't it?
Yeah, and for her, you know, mentally, you know, to be racing at the elite level in any sport, mentally you're going to be very tough. But for Nicole van der Kay, she's just, yeah, she's into her work, she's got her stride going, she's loping along her run there, and I think she's executing a very, very good race in quite a competitive field. So that's Dylan McCulloch there.
We're live.
Looks like she's going around the front of the Ocean Beach Road there. So they run up to Tay Street, turn around back, round the Mount Base track, and then they're on their way down to the finish line here at Pilot Bay.
And of course, the only time that they're going to see each other is when they turn around the turnaround point at Tay Street. Because it's just out and back. And then, unfortunately, 3Ks around the base of the mountain. And I say unfortunately because that is so tough. As we see Nicole just making sure she gets that water in.
You know,
The sun's out. The sun's hot
the sun
right
is
now.
warm. Yeah, it is. You have to take your puffer jacket off at some point.
Trying to hide my body.
Yeah. So Nicole van der Kay, and look, second place is Daylight right now, isn't it, Mark?
Most definitely Daylight. She's just looking great.
She's not far from the turnaround at Tay Street, and she'll get through that run. She'll probably be around the 35-minute mark for the 10Ks.
Nice to see more and more spectators out there as well, supporting these athletes, helping them complete this 10Ks on the run. And that's what athletes like as well. They actually like to see people out there supporting them, helping them, buoying them on, acknowledging them. All of these elite athletes, some of them are so focused, they will not ever acknowledge anybody out on the course. So Cameron Brown's exactly like that. Others will continuously acknowledge athletes.
The thing that I know that the athletes don't like, though, Mark, is when you go past, they're like, it's 30 seconds to second place, and the next person goes, 25 seconds. Next one's, it's about a minute. It's just, athletes often say, you've got to give me splits, make sure they're accurate. But look, for Nicole van der Kay, like we've talked about, she'll, with Dylan and Hayden and everybody else, is they will have their friends, their family, their whānau on the sidelines, giving them splits as to where they're at and what's going on. You only get to eyeball people once in this run, but there are supporters out there, trusted supporters that you know are going to give you accurate splits.
Yeah, particularly around their coaching support network as well. Athletes will actually only acknowledge the splits from the respective people, exactly as you've said.
Yeah.
And they'd be fools to acknowledge anybody else.
But look at that, lovely, nice little sort of flatter part of the flatter part. I mean, the whole course is flat, isn't it? But Nicole van der Kay is absolutely flying, Mark, and so that's Rebecca Clark is coming up past the car there at the moment, I think, in the back. But could even be Hannah Wells. We'll see that when we can. But as you can see with Nicole van der Kay, got a really good high leg turnover. She's got a really good body position. She's not a heck of a lot of movement through there. She's running efficiently. For this early in the season, she's in very good form.
Yeah, just have a look at her cheeks as well. She's not sucking in big breaths, so
No.
she's running within herself. It shows that she's incredibly fit. Everything is about efficiency right now, isn't it? I mean, look at those cheeks.
She's well in control. And like we've talked about, the pedigree of Nicole van der Kay, she's one of these people that has just quietly gone about her work, did outstanding work at the Commonwealth Games for the New Zealand team, that mixed team relay to pull home the bronze medal. The last Comm Games, which seems so long ago at the moment, but she is an outstanding athlete and is only going to keep getting better through this Olympics and the next.
Yeah, also, once again, I thought she was the unsung hero of that team. I thought she was outstanding.
Yeah.
When they got the bronze medal.
And she was up against some very, very good women from the likes of the US, the UK and Australia, and she hung tough, and she actually put time into those girls to then hand over to Hayden Wilde for that anchor leg and get through.
Yeah, she surprised everybody apart from probably her own teammates and herself.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
That's okay. You're allowed to only surprise everybody else.
That's the idea, right?
Yep, exactly.
You want to fly under the radar. That's the idea. The problem that Nicole's going to face, though, is that as she heads towards 2021 and then 2024 for the next Olympics, is that she's not going to fly under the radar so much as that time goes on. She keeps improving. I mean, you look at Hayden Wilde as an example. 3 or 4 years ago, it was like, who? He's just a multi-sporter from Whakatane racing at the Motu Challenge and the Coast to Coast, and that was kind of it. But now he is one of the names people talk about when it comes to standing on the dais at the Olympic Games.
Yep, without a doubt.
So we get to the thick end of things here, folks, at the Suzuki North Island Standard Distance Triathlon Championships. The Tinman here at Pilot Bay. Beautiful Mount Maunganui. High winds and rain overnight last night, Mark. It was a little bit concerning as I know for you, as you woke up in your penthouse apartment this morning, you were worried about the weather, as I was in the backpackers with the people.
Penthouse apartment is an ambition. I don't have the ability to buy one, Cameron, or actually even rent one.
As I was sleeping in the car, out of the car park on the side of the road, no, not really. But the wind, and as we say that, the wind has actually come around a little as well. Is that your daughter-in-law, Mark, just coming through?
Yeah, family affair out there today.
So I think they're doing. So it looks like our athletes are just Hayden Wilde and Dylan McCulloch.
And that's a classic example of what the mount is going to, the base track of the mountain is like.
Yeah, so
look at the undulation there.
So what What it is there's no, just so we're clear on this, if you're wondering what's happening at this elite men's race, well, your guess is going to be as good as ours at this point, because we have drones that are giving us these beautiful pictures that we have, but you're not allowed drones over on the other side of the mount, and you can't get the pictures back over to us because there's a mountain in the way. But that's a major shipping channel and boats and everything. You don't want a drone flying around over there. So this drone is going to pick the athletes up as they come out. So that's just beside the Pilot Bay boat ramp is that shot we can see here. So when we see these guys again, and at this point, barring a catastrophe, Hayden Wilde will be the person we'll be looking for.
I'm pretty confident it'll be Hayden.
I'm fairly confident. I mean, barring a catastrophe, right?
Barring
we'll be able to see that. So Nicole Vanderkay has turned around at Tay Street, so she'll get a good look at where Rebecca Clark is and where Hannah Wells is as well, as she heads back towards the Mount Base track and does that lap herself. But she's still looking as great as when she came out of transition in the run.
Oh, look at her. She's just powerful.
She is powerful. Very slight, strong young lady. But we've talked about efficiency of running. And her running style, very different to the likes of Hayden Wilde, but she is very consistent in her running. And she gets along very, very well. She's the best runner that we've got in the women's field today. And it seems to me, looks like she is building a nice lead here in this race.
Oh, she's extending that lead at every step, really. What'll be interesting is how much Hannah Wells is going to come back into this, and whether or not she can catch Rebecca Clark. That'll be the challenge for Hannah.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that'll be what Hannah was the reigning champion here last year, and it's hard for us to get that shot over the shoulder, because these athletes and runners and bikes going both ways at the moment on this course. But you just saw a little glimpse there as you look back around the corner, back down towards Tay Street, and look, Nicole's way in the lead here.
Yeah, huge lead. This is a massive lead. And you earn a lead like this as well. You earn it because you've done the training, you've done the preparation, and at the same time, she is a class athlete. Look at the rainwater there that's collected. Just shows you how much rain we had last night. Yet the conditions right now are incredibly hot.
It is hot, and it's humid too, Mark. That humidity kicks up very, very fast. So 3 kilometres is the distance around the Mount Base track. So the way that Hayden Wilde's running, you'd think it's around 9.5 or so minutes on the base track.
And that looks like Hayden Wilde there, is it?
Yes, it is. It is indeed.
It's a magnificent shot
How
there as the
fast
drone
is
has
that guy
picked him up. So they've been going, an hour 45? 7:30 was the kickoff.
Yes, it was.
Hour 45, not far away from the finish line now.
So it's about 750 odd metres from the end of the base track to here. So Hayden Wilde is absolutely flying at this point.
He's looking magnificent. Well, there's no catastrophe, I can assure you of that. He's done an incredibly good job here, Hayden Wilde. He's put this race together from the swim, the bike and the run. He'll be very satisfied with this.
And that's the thing for Hayden, is he was patient right the way through. He knew his run form was good enough to get him through, as we talked about here, to crack at Bill Bailey's hour record only a few weeks ago.
And here's the first of the only downwards part of this run. He'll be loving that, and then it's very flat, as you said. 750 metres still to go to the finish line right now.
But the way that Hayden's running, that's only a couple minutes. 750 metres, they're kind of going shade over 3-minute Ks is sort of the pace these guys run at. So Hayden Wilde down onto Pilot Bay. He'll be coming down through this car park where the few boats go and the weather's not so choppy.
And Cameron Harper, you're going to interview young Hayden on the finish line, and we'll get a couple of lovely words about the race and how he's going and how he enjoyed it, etc., etc.
Yeah, absolutely we will. So we'll talk to him when we get to the finish. But Hayden Wilde, as we've talked before about a masterclass in racing, and Hayden Wilde has delivered one of these today. Dylan McCulloch did exceptionally well in the first period of this race and to lead onto the run, but gee whiz, Hayden Wilde, there was 90 seconds between them and he picked that up very fast, didn't he, Mark?
Well, it was no time whatsoever, and we were surprised how quickly it was. But you saw that in terms of just how efficient, how fluent, and also the turnover of the leg speed more than anything else.
And that's the thing, Hayden, is he was patient right the way through. He knew his run form was good enough to get him through, as we talked about here, to crack at Bill Bailey's hour record only a few weeks ago. So
So
So it looks like we're just getting set up with the GENX Homes Tinman Triathlon Tauranga sign here for Hayden Wilde as he comes through towards the finish line here. So Hayden Wilde not too far away from getting to the end of this race.
gosh, he's looking good. He's looking really good. Just a little glance at his watch. It's going to be a tick over about 1 hour and 46, 47 minutes.
Yeah, Hayden Wilde.
Coming up to Princess Street, which is the turnaround for the bike pretty soon.
Yeah, I'll be able to see him very, very shortly, Mark. So he's just coming up past the turnaround now. So Hayden Wilde, the Falcon, the man from Whakatane, giving high fives to a few people. They're all friends in triathlon, right? So Hayden Wilde will be making sure he gets through there as quickly as he can.
Well, he loves it too. He loves getting the accolades. He loves actually passing out accolades. He's very popular young man.
Yeah, he is. So coming down, high fives. You may even do an airplane, Mark. You never know. We'll see what happens as Hayden Wilde comes towards the end of this race. He's right at the finish line now. You can see the motorbikes that are giving that. So Hayden Wilde just slowing down a little as he comes through to take the win here at the Tinman Triathlon. Hayden Wilde is our champion. What a race, Mark Bone.
Well, incredibly good race. He had a really good swim. He just tucked in there on the bike. He gave up 1.5 minutes coming off the bike, but he just pushed that back very, very quickly on the run and had a phenomenal run. I'd love to see his final split with that as well.
I'll ask him. Hang on, I'll see if I can grab Hayden to have a quick chat on Sky, see if we can pull Hayden aside from some of his supporters. Congratulations, Hayden. We'll just bring you over here and have a quick chat on Sky Sport Next. So, Hayden Wilde, congratulations, Tin Man champion.
Yeah, no, it's lovely to be here. The base turnaround was meant to be a shocker today, but yeah, it's nice. I've been training here for about 4 years, and usually based in Whakatane, just down the road. But yeah, for the last 4 years, been based here with Craig Kirkwood, and it's fantastic to get the support from the local crowd.
So, talk us through this race. Dylan McCulloch, he went out on an absolute flyer, didn't he? And what was going through your mind at that point?
Man, I was looking at my power, and he was putting time on me, and I was like, far out, this boy is putting down some incredible power. You got to give him kudos. I was holding about 345, 350 for the whole race, and he was still putting time on me, so that's pretty darn impressive. When I heard he was about 1.5 minutes up, I had a feeling that he might have cooked himself a bit too much. So I knew it may have had a little bit of way room, but yeah, kudos to him. He made the race a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
And it's been a little bit blustery out there. Any thoughts on the conditions today? I mean, you're very well renowned for being able to handle tough conditions yourself.
Yeah, it was the humidity's come out today. It's a bit boiling at the moment, but yeah, just running down the main road. I was holding about 253s, 251s for about 4 or 5k, and then we turned around and it was just a straight headwind, so that made it a bit harder. And then kind of just cruised around the mountain, wanted to kind of drop it down and go hard for the last kilometre. So real happy how the race went.
Well done, Hayden. Congratulations on your win.
Hey, thank you so much. Cheers.
Well, Cameron, also Craig Kirkwood has done an outstanding job with Hayden as well. Just as his coach, he's done a phenomenally good job preparing him for this race and future races in the Olympics, as we see second place coming through.
Yeah, Dylan McCulloch is just finishing now, and a wry smile and a handshake from between the two of them. Had a very good race. I might just grab Dylan to have a quick conversation with him if we can. Hey Dylan, I know you're a bit tired, mate. Sky Sport Next. We'll just have a quick conversation with you. You went on an absolute flyer, man. That was beautiful. You really stuck it to these guys today. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, the plan was just swim as hard as I can and ride as hard as I can, and yeah, see what my gap was coming onto the run. And I knew Hayden was going to absolutely fly in that run, and so I just was waiting for him to catch me, and yeah, he caught me pretty early on, but I just hung tough and really stoked to hang on for third.
And we can see third place has just arrived with Taylor Reid as well. Off you go and have a quick chat with Taylor. So well done to Dylan McCulloch making himself into second place today here at the Tinman Triathlon. So outstanding there, Mark Bone. Very impressive, these first three guys.
Yeah, look, they're three impressive young men. They've got a huge future ahead of them. They've got the Olympics to prepare for next year. I'm really excited for the sport of triathlon in New Zealand because of the young talent that we have around at the moment.
I might just, as we can see, Kyle Smith is just about to come into the finish line here too, Mark. So I'll just grab Taylor Reid when we get an opportunity to have a quick chat to him. So I'll just jump over here with Taylor Reid. Taylor, Sky Sport Next here to have a quick chat. Well done today, mate. Congratulations, third place at the Tinman.
Thank you. Still a bit buggered. That was a bloody tough race. Oh man, I came here, knew Hayden was going to run super fast and wanted to try and get some time on the bike, but the man was too strong and I knew maybe I could take some time out of Dill on the run, but the dude just bite the house down today, and credit to Kyle too. He smashed that first half of the run, but I was able to come back strong. So yeah, not super happy, but super happy to be back racing. Miss this so much. It's wicked to have a race at home finally again.
That's what I was going to say, Taylor, is to actually be out here racing. I mean, we went through a few conditions today, but the sun's on your back, you're out here racing at an iconic event, and there's so many people overseas that can't race, they can't even get to the pool, and here we are racing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I've ever been so hyped for this race before. I've been fizzing for this for a couple of weeks out, just itching to get back into racing, because training's great and we love training. We enjoy it and we have a great group of guys to train with, but nothing beats a good race. So yeah, glad to be back out there.
Awesome, mate. Well, congratulations on your place today, and good luck as you go through qualification process for Tokyo 2021.
Yeah, thanks heaps. Ciao.
Well, Cameron, I thought the most pertinent thing there was what was said was that I'm not happy with the race today, but I'm so stoked to be back racing. And that was the most appropriate thing to say as well. We are, and we've said it all along, we're so blessed to be able to have this opportunity to race here in New Zealand. But at the same time, these athletes, have taken and embraced that opportunity, and they've actually put together today and performed to the highest level. I thought it was a fantastic day of these first three that have come across the finish line and our outstanding results.
Yeah, and I see Saxon Morgan's just come through to take fifth place. Has Saxon? He's had a good race today, but yeah, look, Hayden Wilde just looked outstanding at the finish line there. Very, very good effort. So at the time, bearing in mind the women's race started 5 minutes behind the men, and we know that Nicole van der Kay was absolutely smashing it. I think the race really, Mark, will be for second place between Rebecca Clark and then through to Hannah Wells. So I think last we heard that Hannah was catching up in that position.
Well, that is going to be really interesting to see what happens between second and third. And I guess that's the race now today. I mean, pretty much we know Nicole's going to win the overall for the woman. But who is going to take out the second position?
So David Martin finishing up there. He takes sixth place. Sixth place here at the Suzuki North Island Standard Distance Tri-Champs. So it'll be interesting to see is Nicole van der Kay where she is, and I'm super interested to know, because look, it's the same as in the men's race. Barring catastrophe on the Mount Base track, Nicole van der Kay has this race in the bag. She's raced exceptionally patiently all the way through, and then just unleashed this run, which is very, very good. Could have been a very good battle between Hannah Wells and Rebecca Clark, but Hannah is a more established runner than Rebecca is. And through to fourth place was quite a distance at that point. So it'd be, 10 Ks, right? Anything can happen.
Yeah, patience is everything as well.
Yeah, patience is absolutely everything. So Nicole van der Kay should be here in the next few minutes as well.
Well, it's my pleasure to welcome the commentary team here today. Hamish Carter, Olympic champion in 2004, General Manager of Triathlon New Zealand. Hamish, just talk us through, you're working with all of these athletes. Tell us a little bit about what their training is all about right now.
It's been, with the Olympics being postponed by a year, it's been really difficult to keep a HB program on track, but each coach and athlete has sort of laid out what they need to do you know, we are pretty lucky, I think, that we're all here today and we can do the sport. A lot around the world, you don't have that opportunity. And as an elite program, we've, with the coaches and athlete, picked a group of races where they'll all race at. And this is just an opportunity to compete for the younger athletes to have a crack. And the ability to race together just lifts the bar, really. So they're all really keen to get amongst it and just take the training and put it into practice in a proper race, and you do that over the summer months.
So any comments out there about your three young men, the way that they finished today? Is that what you expected?
Oh, I actually think it was brilliant to see Dylan have a go, and that's what it's all about. We've got a really strong young team, I think, and the sport's changing as well. I think we're moving from an Olympic distance to potentially a shorter race, but with the likes of what you're seeing today, there's some real strong talent coming through, and there's even a layer of athletes sort of below that level which are going to be pushing up into the elite ranks over the coming years. So you just look around and, you know, the sport of triathlon I think is going really well at the moment, and just evidence through the numbers here today and people just enjoying the sport.
I'm sure that the sport of triathlon is going through another resurgence, and I'm sure that your contribution to the program has been part of that as well. So, you know, accolades to you, Hamish. You know, obviously you've had a lot over the years, but you're now putting something really back into the sport as I guess, a general manager of the overall program, which is significant. I mean, here we've got some magnificent coverage of the sport, and it's great to see it on TV once again.
Yeah, it is. It's so good. It shows you can create that live sport with Sky Next, and the ability to stream that so people can watch it. Yeah, it's fantastic because it's not easy to form a sport like this, but for people to be able to watch it online is fantastic. And you know, you just seem to see the quality of athlete out there today. They're obviously all enjoying themselves, and they're mixing it up with the age groupers, which is the kind of the core of our sport.
Yeah, I think you've hit it on the head there. Nicole's obviously had an outstanding race today as well. She hasn't come across the finish line, but she certainly was quite clearly in front. So you'd be happy with that as well.
Yeah, the interesting thing with Nicole, this is her first Olympic distance non-drafting race. And that may sound a surprise, but you know, she's a young athlete racing on the ITU circuit. There aren't many races like this. So for her, this is, I would assume, a significant training session, but again, she's trying to progress to be ready to be in best shape for selection for the Olympics for next year. And when and how that occurs is still to be determined. So the ITU haven't announced the full calendar for next year, but again, all these athletes have their eyes on that, because once racing begins, our policy will kick in and the races will count depending on what's been nominated as those events. So that's sort of the forward-looking part to all the HB athletes here today.
So just take us through that. So in 4 days' time, you've got another simulation race back in Cambridge. Talk us through that and the rationale behind that.
Yeah, so it's a mixed relay event, and it's an opportunity for athletes to practice what it's going to be like in Tokyo, where they'll do a race today and then 4 days later they're a mixed relay. And it's really just an opportunity to learn the effects on your body as to when you try and race a mixed relay 4 days later. You'll also have a bit of fatigue in the legs, so it's a bit, you can practice the recovery protocols. And also, again, just for other athletes to do a mixed relay in a controlled environment and just see how they go, really. It's a bit of a marker for the future, and it's something we might do ongoing over the next sort of 6 months.
Well, I know in your day you're always testing yourself in any capacity that you could. And it's great to see that initiative coming through as well for this program. And you've got to make sure that you do that. I guess there is always the difficulty at the moment about the selection process. I mean, we don't know what's happening overseas, the rest of the world. We've been guaranteed that the Olympics is going ahead, and I think is a really positive thing. It's just a matter of, and let's be honest, we can only prepare with how we're preparing right now, and we're so lucky that we can prepare the way we are.
Yeah, I think the run into Tokyo, the only thing we know for sure is that it's likely to change at the last minute. We have to have multiple plans, we have to keep it really simple, and we have to we still don't know how the team's going to be selected, and we still don't know what the ITU races are, and we still don't know what restrictions are going to be, and we don't know how much it's going to cost. But the point is, I think as New Zealanders and in the way we tend to operate, I think we're very adaptable to changing environments. I think the team's working well together. I think they'll adjust quickly. And look, it's just about making it an opportunity rather than feeling like it's going to be a bad thing. We just don't have control over virtually anything, so, yep.
Well, I think that we're going to have the women's first place getter coming through any moment now. Can't be far away as we have some wonderful shots here coming off the base track of the mountain. It is a beautiful course. I mean, we've certainly had all weather conditions today, Hamish. And that in itself is not a bad thing for these athletes as well. You know, we don't ever have anything perfect in New Zealand, and that, I think, is what has made us tough in the past.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, just a number of people out there today racing, and I can just see Nicole here on the screen. Like, she does look great running after a 40k time trial and the 1500 metre swim. And I think it's really great to see her racing again. It's probably been over a year since she's been on a race, so yeah, good on her.
Just on that, Hamish, we've talked about how well she's been running, and she's been consistent right from start to finish. She's going really well, isn't she?
Yeah, she does look good. Like, she's got her hips up and she's on the balls of her feet. She looks pretty relaxed. I guess it'll be really interesting to see how she feels after this race, because it will be a different experience. And I mean, she will be doing the mixed relay simulation in 4 days from now. So again, all learning really, and for a young athlete who's got a career ahead of her, it's really exciting. And I think she'll be inspiring a number of younger athletes here today that can see someone like Nicole get up close to her, meet her, talk to her, and you know, that's how our sport tends to go. Our champions are close to the core, and we want that to continue.
Yeah, I think it's really important. We want to make sure that they continue to evolve and develop, but at the same time, it shouldn't be perfect out there. They should actually make mistakes and learn from those mistakes, because you actually learn very little when you have a magnificent race. And you know that over the years. You actually learn more from when you have the odd disappointment or something that didn't quite go right, but you learn from it, and if you do, then you go back and go onwards and upwards.
Yeah, I think triathlon is complex. There's lots of stuff to remember. A lot of things can go wrong. But you're right, it is about putting yourself in those positions over and over again. You learn, you get better. And I think you just become an adaptable athlete that can sort of roll with the changes. And again, you know, with what we're facing next year with Tokyo, I think our team will be well placed to do well. And again, you know, what we're really trying to build is a program for 2024 and beyond, so we're trying to build something that lasts. But, you know, this is the start of it today.
Well, thanks very much, Hamish. It's wonderful to have you down here as we pass over to Cameron Harper, as he's going to bring home Nicole van der Kay, outstanding winner this year.
As I see Mark Bosted just finishing up the race here. Nice little blowout for him. So Nicole van der Kay. It looks like Hannah Wells has come into second place as well, Mark. She's just coming off the Mount Base track.
Yeah, definitely Hannah Wells there with the very prominent Subaru support or sponsorship that she has as well. So once again, thank you to Hamish Carter. It's wonderful to get his insight into this.
Yeah, wonderful to hear from the great man, isn't it? As I look down through transition here, can't quite see Nicole yet, but she's not too far away, Mark. So I'd suggest in the next 90 seconds or so, she'll be coming through to the finish line.
Oh, rest assured, you'll see her at any time now.
So Nicole van der Kay has given us an absolute masterclass today when it comes to triathlon racing. And as Hamish Carter was saying, she just comes past. Yeah, she's only a couple hundred metres away now, Mark, but she swam very well, was first out there. She had a great battle with Rebecca Clark over the cycle race, but she's always within distance, and then within 500 metres, or within the first K, she took the lead and has never looked back, has she?
No, she's looked fantastic, hasn't she? Oh, it was interesting, the first ever non-drafting Olympic distance event. I didn't realise that, and it was a great insight from Hamish.
So as we look up to the distance, we can see Nicole van der Kay tapping along the street And here she comes. She's not too far away now. Nicole van der Kay. Very, very good race as the finisher's tape goes up for the Tinman Triathlon. The lead cyclist pulls to one side, gives a happy little cheer for Nicole. I can see the motorcycle with the cameras on it. So here comes Nicole van der Kay, Olympic bronze, Commonwealth Games team relay bronze medalist and now winner here at the Tinman Triathlon. Suzuki standard distance North Island Championships. Big, big smile on her face, Nicole van der Kay. Outstanding work from her.
Oh, it's a tremendous win, tremendous result, and so well raced.
I'll just grab Nicole before she gets too far away from us. One way to introduce yourself is to just roll up and say hello to somebody.
But you're going to have to do it pretty quickly, Cameron, because we've also got Hannah Wells, Dr. Hannah Wells coming in second position, not far behind.
Well, we'll just grab Nicole's just have it. We'll just wait for Hannah to come across the line, then we'll be with you to second Nicole. But Hannah Wells, reigning champion here, Mark, and she's managed to take out second place today. It's a very good race from here as well.
Yeah, Hannah's, I thought raced really well. I mean, she gave up a lot after the end of the bike. She had a pretty solid swim, gave up a lot, but boy, nothing is going to be taken away from Nicole van der Kay today. Outstanding victory.
Oh, look, the wind has been a bit blustery today, but she has handled these conditions exceptionally well with Nicole van der Kay. As we said, very good swim, stayed in touch on the bike, was in the lead quite a lot of that, and within a K was in the lead of the run, and it just kept going from there. So done very, very well as we just stand by for Hannah Wells to come over the finish line as well. Just trying to make sure that Nicole doesn't get too far away from us.
Oh, I mean, why wouldn't you run away from you and get cuddles with your boyfriends?
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, no, she's Stephen Sheldrake lurking a bit close there. He needs to back off, but Taylor Reid is over there congratulating Nicole. So yeah, it's a good
shot on the TV here of Dr. Hannah Wells. We haven't seen a lot of her during the race because she's been in third, fourth. Rebecca Clark.
It's been a good fight between these two, isn't it?
It has been, and I thought Rebecca still here looks really strong, really well. She certainly worked hard on her running, but you can just see Hannah just up on her toes that little bit more, faster turnover, looking great. We must congratulate Hannah too, recently got engaged.
So Hannah Wells, champion last year, second place today. Outstanding racing from her.
Yeah, great race for Hannah.
Okay, so I can see we'll just grab Nicole, we'll grab Hannah in a second to have a quick chat to them. I think Nicole's just doing something with Try and Z, so she won't be too far away from being able to have a chat to us.
And Rebecca's right there as well. She'll be coming across the finish line any moment as well.
It's a very good race from these three young ladies, wasn't it, Mark?
Yeah, look, it was nice. It was changing circumstances. I think it's great when you see races change and it's unpredictable, and that's exactly what we've seen today. Unpredictability. But again, you know, cream always rises to the top, and Nicole has actually risen and made a fantastic race of it.
Just going to grab Nicole van der Kay. It looks like Rebecca Clark is just... We'll just grab Rebecca as she comes across the line and call this in. Mark, Rebecca Clark, she was right up the front with Nicole out of the swim. She led the bike for quite a long portion of this race and led out of T2, and now she comes in third place at the Tinman Triathlon. So just going to grab Nicole van der Kay just here with Sky Sport Next. So congratulations, that was an outstanding race.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. Thank you.
We're talking to Hamish Carter before. He was saying this is your first non-drafting race. How did you find that? I mean, you look really comfortable. You look like you're a natural.
Yeah, first non-drafting Olympic. I haven't done an actual Olympic for probably a year and a half, so I didn't really know what to expect, but my coach and I formed a plan to do some sessions to try and hold watts, and I just went out and just followed the processes, just one thing after the other, and yeah, voila.
And you've got your simulation with Try and Z in a few days. I mean, you're going to back up from this quite nicely, I'd suspect.
Oh, we'll see. I plan to, but hopefully I can flush the legs through before then.
But Tinman champion, I mean, this race has a lot of mana and it's been going for a very long time. To be the champion up against a very, very good field with the likes of Rebecca Clark and Hannah Wells, I mean, you must be stoked.
Yeah, I can't believe really. These girls are fantastic on the long distance stage, so I really had no idea what to expect. I just wanted to be up there and try and tap on their heels, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, congratulations, Nicole, champion, and good luck with your qualification process and through to Tokyo.
Thank you very much.
Nicole Vanderkay, outstanding race from her today. We're just going to give Hannah Wells a tap on the shoulder here. And how are you? So just got Hannah Wells here with us as well. I'll just grab the attention of the guys over here. We go. Hannah Wells, champion last year, second place today, but you hung tough all race.
Yeah, didn't start off with the greatest swim, so I was playing a bit of catch up all day. Worked as hard as I could, but yeah, was good enough to get second today.
And look, you know, you're up against someone like Nicole Vanderkay. I mean, Nicole's a very, very good athlete, isn't she?
Oh, incredibly good. And it was very exciting to race here today. Good opportunity for us long course athletes to jump into this slightly shorter format of racing and have a chance to race these girls from the ITU racing. So yeah, it was a good chance to race Nicole today, and she raced really well.
And a wonderful opportunity when you look around the world at what's happening to actually strap on the wetsuit and the runners and the bike and actually do a race. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We are so lucky here in New Zealand to be able to do this, and we don't even have to wear masks. So yeah, it's incredible to be here and feeling very lucky.
Well done, Hannah. Winner last year, second place today, and I'm looking forward to a wonderful summer of racing from you.
Thank you.
So that was well done there from Hannah Wells. We'll just grab while she's here Rebecca Clark. So Bex, congratulations, third place today. That was a very, very good race.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I mean, it was second last year, but I think the competition was a step up this year. Yeah, and like Nicole and Hannah, I knew they'd be tough to beat, and just tried to, yeah, I really pushed myself on the bike to try and get a gap for the run, and yeah, it just kind of wasn't enough, but yeah, gave it all, so I'm happy.
And it's something we're talking about at the commentary, is that you are the kind of person that just gives everything you got. And look, you know, you were in with a real shot for a while there, but Nicole Vanderkay, she's absolutely flying in that run, wasn't she?
Yeah, when she came past me, there was like, yeah, not much chance of me hanging out with her. Like, I'm happy with my runners. Like, I think, you know, I ran a couple of minutes faster than last year, but yeah, still got to work on those run legs.
So good. Well, look, congratulations on third place today, and look forward to the summer season.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Mark, any further updates that you got there?
No major updates. It was just a fantastic result today. I thought that the three women, the three men have raced extremely well. I think the sport's in great stead going forward. There's so many young age group athletes out here today. You know, some of our old timers, I look at Yanni Kutos, I look at Walter Thorburn. I don't want to call them old fellas, but, you know, they're well into their 50s now. They have done a fantastic job today and raced extremely well. I mean, Yanni Kutos, I think, was the first of the 45 and overs home.
Yeah, no, he still goes very well, doesn't he? But, you know, as we look through how this has panned out today, 1,500 metre swim and the men's race to start with, you know, Dylan McCulloch had a very, very good race, didn't he?
Yeah, look, he had an outstanding race. And as Hamish said, I just love the way he took it to the rest of the field.
Absolutely. So just to recap, with very, very good racing, our winners here at the Suzuki North Island Standard Distance Tri-Champs, the Tinman Triathlon here at Mount Maunganui. Hayden Wilde, too good in the end after a very courageous effort from Dylan McCulloch. So Hayden Wilde taking out our victory, Dylan McCulloch in second, and we have Taylor Reid in third place. In the women's race, another one that was very, very good, but it was a very, very good class of athletics today, triathlon today, from Nicole Vanderkay, the Olympic hopeful for 2021. So she took out the victory. Hannah Wells ran herself up to second, and Rebecca Clark in third. So, Mark, any final comments before we wrap this up?
No, look, isn't it fantastic? We're out racing, and we've got a really exciting sprint distance event coming up at 10:30.
Yeah, we'll just wrap this up for now, but not long before the 10:30 we have the sprint championships. Some very, very good young men and young women, and some of those are a bit older, racing in there. But on behalf of Mark Bone, I'm Cameron Harper. We'll be back in approximately half an hour or so here on Sky Sport Next.